Stay tuned. It's open night, Mike, which means it's your night to get off your takes. All right, welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. And tonight it is open mic night, which means it is your night to call in and get your takes off. And there is so much to talk about, guys. If you watched anything that John Lynch talked about today, he talked about Trey Lance, how they're ready to turn the keys over to him. Talked about Jimmy Garoppolo and how have had talks with plenty of teams. They've talked about everything. And it sounds like the Tom Brady thing is finally deaded. So this should be Trey Lance's team. That's super exciting. Let's just hop right in, right? I was just on with Grant. Plenty of topics. If you watch Grant's show, then you saw all the things that we could be talking about. You can go any direction you want. As you know, whatever you guys want is on the table. It is your show. You guys make this show great every single time. Let me say what's up to the chat real quick. Got a couple subscribers, a couple not subscribers, but members. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. A couple members tapping in. Ramon, thank you. Appreciate it. Raphael. And then we've got the wrench squad. We got the mod squad rolling deep. So no Tom foolery in the chat. All right, let me switch this banner over. We'll jump right to it. We'll get on Korean 49er as he always starts the show off. What's up, my man?
How you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I couldn't be better.
So since this is the start of Lent, I'm giving up processed carbs and alcohol until the end of Lent. Last time I did that, I dropped 20 pounds in 40 days.
Holy moly. Dang. Okay, so start of Lent. That means, I thought you said start of Lance. I'm like, wow, that's really impressive.
Lent, yeah.
Yeah. No. At first, that's what I thought you said. I'm like, so when does this end? Is this like when he's not a 49er, you're going to be doing this for 15 years? This is incredible. Is that,
I don't know, man.
Like, well, the question is Lent is you have to just give up a couple of things that you really enjoy, right? Is that the way it works?
Yeah, I enjoy an occasional beer and, eating chocolate as much as anybody else. So it's a sacrifice.
I like it. And it's 40 days long?
Yes. I like to give up swearing, but that's kind of hard.
How many things are you supposed to give up? Is there like a limit on this?
I think it's supposed to be one, but why not? Alcohol is more or less sugar, byproduct of sugar. So
okay, fair enough.
It's not gonna. I'll still eat fruit and stuff like that, but I just won't eat like processed white sugar.
Yeah. All right, that's good. So, hey, more power to you, man. You said you dropped how much last time you did this? 20?
20 to 25.
Dang. All right. Let's see it. We're gonna see a whole new Kim here in a couple weeks. I love it.
So, first point is, I think that Jimmy still has no trade value. The surgery he's getting isn't gonna. To me, it didn't affect anything one way or the other. If there's, as we talked before, if a team wants to give up a draft pick for him, that's great. But that's still a very expensive proposition for that other team, because Jimmy gets injured, and once he throws that ball to an open defender, everyone's going to want to pull their hair out and everything. So,
yeah, you're right about that. So you really don't think that this injury that he's got is changing anything? You think his trade value stayed the same?
He's always been injury prone during his time with the 49ers and in 2016 when he was in those games when Tom Brady was suspended. So that kind of unintentionally still goes with that narrative.
Okay. That's totally fair, by the way. I mean, if you didn't think his trade value was very high to begin with, like let's say you thought it was like a third round pick, I would say you're probably right. I tend to agree, by the way. I don't think it's going to have that much bearing. The concern that I have is that, you couple that in with the fact that other guys are going to hit the open market for almost nothing compared to what Jimmy is, whether that's a Mariota, a Wentz, a Trubisky, those types of guys. Why would I invest in Jimmy Garoppolo, have to extend him, send you a third round pick when I can pay half for one of these guys, do a 1 year trial, and let them be a bridge guy? So to me, like that's the way that I look at it. I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know what his value's worth. I don't think he's going to get outright cut, but it's definitely not anything close to a first like some people thought to begin with.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where the first round pick talk ever came from or originated. If someone, I guess it was based off what Carson Wentz got in that trade, to Philadelphia, but I just never saw it with Jimmy, and that's how I've always seen it that way. I mean, yeah, there's probably a team that's desperate for a quarterback, but how desperate does a team really have to be to get Jimmy? I mean, kind of goes back there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is like, so I can understand why you would trade for a guy like Sam Darnold, let's say, right? And people are like, oh my gosh, like they gave up so much. We can get that for Jimmy. But let's not forget that Sam Darnold was much younger. He was coming from a horrible Jets franchise. And your thought process is, okay, well, I see the talent there. Let me give up something for Sam Darnold because I think I can fix him. Okay. So you can see why that would work. Then you see the Carson Wentz thing, right? Similar to Jimmy, lots of injuries, shown flashes, whatever. But that was to pair him with his old offensive coordinator who got the most out of him. So I could understand why they would say, well, let me trade for Carson Wentz. I can make this work. Okay. I actually think those two things drive down the value of Jimmy G rather than driving up, like some people say. And the reason that I say that is because when you look at Jimmy, you're like, okay, this guy's 30. He's coming from arguably the best play caller in the league. What am I going to do to make this guy better than what he's already shown? And oh, by the way, he was surrounded by a ton of talent. I don't think anybody's looking at that going, we're going to make him better. They're looking at it saying, okay, we know what Jimmy is. If we have the perfect scenario for him, we might be able to make a little bit of a run. Now, is that worth it? Knowing what he is that worth it? I'm sure a team will figure out, hey, it probably is. Maybe a Washington in particular. They're the one team I keep coming back to. But I don't see any of these teams just clamoring to get Jimmy Garoppolo and thinking, oh, we can make this player better. I don't believe that.
I don't see an ideal situation for Jimmy in on the if he does get cut or traded. But to me, the biggest problem is this team needs cap space, and we're right around 4 million over before the next year begins in the NFL, and supposedly they have to get to the cap, whatever the cap value, salary cap is, or under. And to me, that's a whatever you get from moving Jimmy on or cutting him is key.
Well, I think the other key is that they have to stay under that. They can't just get under and then say, okay, well, we can pick up all these other players and re sign our guys. They have to stay under that number the whole time, which means teams know that. Teams know they have to shed that money. I think there might be a little bit of cat and mouse here. And unless a team really, really wants Jimmy Garoppolo and says, well, if he hits the open market, we may not get him. We're going to have to trade for him. I don't know, man. This might be a standoff. Like they might just have to let him walk. I hope that doesn't happen. Again, I think the truth lies somewhere in between. It's certainly not a first. He probably doesn't get cut. But I really could start to see a scenario where getting cut does actually happen. And that's worst case scenario.
Yeah, I agree with that. And to me, the team got value for trading a second round pick for him. You went to a Super Bowl and two NFC championships. I mean, that's more than what most teams do in a decade. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, but
yeah.
So yeah, one last thing is Grant needs to create a second channel so they could record all of his singing impersonations, and he could put all his clips on there.
Somebody just needs to create a channel and then to take all of that stuff and just throw it up there because I think it would be hilarious. I think people would love that channel.
I know. But technically, I think Grant's a great fire starter himself because he could just drop just put something out on Twitter, and then half the fan base is already wants to go atomic on him. It's like, come on, man, come on, guys. He's just putting
Well,
out fodder just to see what the
yeah,
response will be.
that's the thing, right? Like Grant Grant called Jimmy the fire starter, the arsonist, and the firefighter. Grant's just the arsonist. Like he's not here to try to put out any fires. He's like, I'm just gonna light it on fire. I'm gonna shut my Twitter down, or I'm gonna mute the conversations and just let it go. It's great. It's fantastic.
Exactly. So we need to sign DJ Reed if possible
Oh, okay. Walk me through this. Why Reed?
because he's still relatively young enough. And they were trying to be cute when they did that roster move last season when Seattle picked him up.
Mm, okay. Okay. I think it was what 2 years. It was 2 years ago now. I think it was
No,
the
it was
COVID
last
year.
season, I think. Last season, I think.
No, because he was on the Super Bowl team. It was after the Super Bowl year. It was after the Super Bowl year. I promise. I know that COVID year just kind of flew by and it didn't happen in our minds, but it definitely did. It's been 2 years, but I don't know. I don't know what to think of that. I mean, can he play nickel? Can he play like what is he going to play for the 49ers? I don't know. If he can play nickel, if he can play nickel, that would be a perfect fit.
Because to me, they're not. I don't believe K1's going to be on the team this upcoming season. I think he might be a free agent, and he is a little bit of a. He's above 30, so I just see that DJ Reed still has a few years before he hits 30, and if they can get him at a fair price, fair value. I think they could do that. Should at least
Yeah,
pursue it.
I'm not against it. I'm definitely not against it. I just wanted to see what your reasonings were, and yeah, I'm certainly not against it. Again, anytime that they can upgrade the secondary, I'm all about it. Although I'm not big on they need a number one corner. Like I don't think that that's necessarily the place to do it. For me, where I do it at the safety spot. I let Tart walk. I'm not bringing in a 32-year-old corner that plays man. Like that's not what I want to do. I'm not bringing in Gilly Lock. J.C. Horn is probably unlikely. I'm bringing in Honey Badger. Honey Badger for me would shore up this secondary in a heartbeat. And between him and Jimmy Ward, I trust either one of them to roll down and play nickel corner if need be. Funga can kind of come in and play that star role, linebacker, safety hybrid role. And I think you've got a hell of a defense. Allow Mosley and especially Ambry Thomas to creep up and play press man. I don't know. That's a formidable back into your defense, especially when you've got pass rushers the way the 49ers do. Good luck. I think that would be a hell of a way to go.
All right, one last question for you. I'll let you go to the next callers. So Grant brought up a question that if a team was to offer a first round pick for Kittle, would you do it? I say if a team wants to offer a first and a second, I'll listen.
Oh, I'm doing it in a heartbeat. I mean, here's the thing. The reason I said no to Kittle is because if they trade him before June 1st, it's too big of a cap hit, too big of a penalty. You have to do it after
Yep.
June 1st. Okay. But the problem with that is unless you trade him for a player, you're trading him for future assets. And I don't want to take that good of a player away from Trey Lance. Now, if he can stay healthy this year, and I know that's a big if, but put up big numbers, this next offseason, I would actually entertain it. If you could get a first round pick or more for him, I would listen to that. Again, I'm not for sure on trading Kittle, but I would listen. I'm just not entertaining the thought right now. I think right now is the worst time to do it. So I'm not doing it.
One player that always comes to mind is Xavier Howard because I know that he wants out of Miami, and you know, eh, and you can get to a friend. I'm just throwing a name out. I'm not saying
Yeah.
do it, but
Well, he
that's
would fit. Like he would fit that mold because after June 1st, again, you would have to go player for player. If he's if he's still disgruntled, they can't get a deal done, that would be a player. I don't know, man. I mean, me personally, like if I'm going to get rid of him, I want the cap room and I want the draft pick. Right? That's the way that I see it. Now I know the draft pick is a crapshoot, But after Trey Lance has a year under his belt, he's a lot more comfortable. Like, I'm entertaining the Kittle thing next year. I'm just not doing it now. I think we're a year too early. That's just me personally.
Yeah, my only problem is that Kittle's gotten all those injuries and he's kind of getting worn down by him, and that's not. It's going to obviously be a detriment to him later on. So I still want to try to get, you know, sell him high and then move him on.
Well, the thing is that like I think it's a year early as far as the money goes. It may be a year late as far as just his physical ability. Like he may be declining physically. I don't know. I mean, time's in a tell. The thing is that he's been injured, right? I people associate injuries with did they play or did they not? He had a noticeable limp all season. Like you saw it in between every play. This guy is limping in and out of the huddle. Something was going on. Something took his skill set away and he wasn't at 100%. Even with that said, he's still such a fantastic player. It's really, really hard to try to trade a guy like that. I just think salary cap wise, it is a year early. So that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I mean, remember what I think it was Carmen Policy. You may have brought this up earlier that Carmen Policy always wanted to trade a player, let a player go a year early, or trade them instead of a year late. Or and remember, Bill Walsh said he only wanted to keep players for their first 10 seasons because that's when you get the best out of them within reason.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm with that. I'm with that for sure. But see, the thing is Carmen Policy wasn't around. He wasn't running teams with salary cap hits. That's a big difference, right?
Well, this is true, but you got to remember the 49ers didn't re-sign Ronnie Lott and traded Joe Montana at the time too. I mean, they made those decisions.
No. That's what I'm saying. I agree. No players off limits. Like no players off limits. Especially after watching Buckner leave, we didn't think that was a possibility. Me personally, I think it's a year early to even consider something like that. Especially because Trey Lance is about to take over. They need him. They absolutely need Kittle. So.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Jesse. I know I went over, but thank you for taking my call. You have a nice week.
You're good, man. All right, man. You too.
Yep.
All right. Shay coming in, my guy from Twitter. He says, I just picked up your ED medication. I'll swing it by and drop it off. Anything else? Yeah, man. You already know. You already know the rest. I'm an old guy. I need Depends. I need Insure. I need the whole thing. So hurry up, man. You're like my, what is it? Is it shipped? Shopped? Shipped? Whatever. You're that guy for me. I appreciate it. And don't you forget it. You know what you are to me. And I need you. So bring it by. Somebody liked my who was it? Was it Kenyon? Kenyon? Kenyon. Was it you that liked my honey badger idea? Somebody liked my honey badger idea. And somebody talked about Chandler Jones. Yeah, I mean, listen, if they're gonna splurge on a guy, Chandler Jones, like that's yes, I'm all in. And in fact, my co-host yesterday, Sunil, brought that up. All right, let me get to you, Viet. You're gonna be next. Then it's gonna be Jacob, then Tommy, then it's gonna be Chardal. What's up, Viet?
Hey, my guy. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Pretty good. Man, I don't care what Lynch says, because I'm not going to believe anything until it happens. Because that's part of the game. They just say they're supposed to say stuff so that they can control the narrative, and so Grant can stop talking about trading people. But yeah, I don't believe anything until the season starts and Trey is playing quarterback, that I will believe that he's now on the market for something,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you listen to Lynch, he covered all of his bases today, right? Like, yeah, we've had talks and yes, people are interested, but we're not afraid to bring him back. But also Trey's really good and we like him a lot. And he should be our starter because 3 first-round picks. But if Jimmy's here, like, all right, man, we get it. Like, you're trying to cover your basis on everything. You don't know for sure what's going to happen. Anything could happen. I mean, I don't want to even put this out there, but I just have to call it is what it is. If Trey got injured tomorrow, God forbid, they can't then just trade Jimmy. They'd have to keep him, right? So you can't you can't say we're for sure trading him until you have a willing partner and until it's done. So you're right. Anything can happen between now and then, but it has to get done soon. It has to get done by that 16th date because they need that money, quite frankly.
So I mean, I don't agree with what Grant's been saying about Kittle, not to trade him and all that.
Mm-hmm. I agree
But
with you.
so here, I mean, I would consider some things though, because it's all about, can he still command double teams? Like, I don't care how many catches he gets. I don't care how many yards. Can he still make the other team compensate for him and what's it called? Over scheme for him? Because that opens up the offense more than just him. Actually, anybody can get open in the NFL, man. You can just scheme it yourself open, or just line up next to a dude that's fast that will take two guys, and then you just run underneath route, run where there's nobody guarding you. You can get open that way. Like it isn't hard to get open. It's hard to command double teams. You need to be real special. And if Kittle can still do that, I can't say to trade him, because think about, if we lose Kittle, all the pressure is going to be on Debo. All of it's going to be on Trey. You want Trey to have as an easiest time or an easy time as possible, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really what it comes down to. Like Trey Lance, we know, can throw outside the numbers. What Jimmy Garoppolo did so well was throwing between the numbers. And a lot of that was limitation, right? Just physical limitation. We understand that. But it's hard to operate in that area. It really is. And that's why he threw so many picks, because that's where he primarily operated. That being said, that is the one area of growth that Trey Lance needs. Well, the one guy that's going to consistently be open over the middle and make it easy for you is George Kittle. Like, they need George Kittle. Trey Lance needs George Kittle while he's learning and developing. And I expect guys like Waller, Mark Andrews, like they're going to get the bag soon as well, which means that price dollar of Kittle is not going to look worse in a year. It's going to look better. So the likelihood of trading him for more next year would be better if that's the route they want to take. I'm not at all for trading Kittle. I would love to keep Kittle for a long time. He's one of my favorite players. But if I was going to do it, I'm not doing it this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy's been eating up our cap for years, and we're managing. And if we trade Jimmy, there'll be plenty of cap to compensate for Kittle.
Yeah, absolutely.
My thing is, if we and I agree, I don't want a first round pick for Kittle, because you saw what, I mean, Kinlaw is still to be seen, you know. I'd rather have, proven commodity. So if I'm going to trade Kittle, I need somebody like Tristan Wirfs back. Otherwise, it ain't no deal, because with Trey, I still think the O-line is the most important thing, because Trey's the most important person. He's going to be the most important player next year of any 49er, yeah, above Debo. Like, don't you think we need to make him feel as comfortable as possible?
Yeah, I mean, a tight end is a young quarterback's best friend. He's gonna need him for sure. And I think the flip side is, like, I don't necessarily think his numbers are going to be better under Trey Lance, because Trey Lance does utilize outside the numbers a lot more. But the importance of Trey Lance is so big. It's so big. He needs Kittle this year, and the 49ers need Kittle this year. So yeah, it's a no-go.
Like, I kind of have this fear that like you said, who really is reaching out to get Jimmy right now? I feel like we have to, if we're going to trade Jimmy, or we could trade Jimmy, it has to be in a package deal with somebody else. Like Kittle.
Well, yeah, okay, but let me ask you this. Like, I think another possibility is either a future pick that could escalate based off of what he does, or you trade a pick with him. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I know that the going market's a 4th round pick for Jimmy, or 2 4ths. I say, okay, well, I will give you a 4th this year. You give me your 3rd and give me a 4th next year. Right? Like, I could see a scenario like that as well, where they package him with a pick to sweeten the pot a little bit. A future 4th. Future picks are always worth 1 round later than what they are this year. So a future 4th would be like a 5th round this year.
Yeah.
That's the value of it. So, like, I could see that happening as well. Package him with a pick of your own to incentivize a little bit. I could see that as a possibility.
I mean, at this point, bro, trade him for a vending machine for all I care. Just
get
get something for him. And one last thing, I'm with you on the corner deal there. I don't know if we should bring in a veteran, but I think we're okay. We can draft a guy, but like, who really in the NFL has a shutdown corner? Like, really, there's barely like maybe 2, 3. Everybody else is like okay. I feel like the market for corner is like average, good enough to play starting corner, and then there's 3 shutdown corners. There's like no middleman market for like no true number one corner that you can put in any situation. At least lately, because the game has been all offense.
Yeah, like when I look at it, like I genuinely think that like Mosley to me is probably a low end number one corner, and I think Ambry Thomas next year could be like a mid tier number 2. I'm taking
Agree.
that. Like I'm fine with
Yeah.
that. And if you have good secondary play or good safety play behind that, or a good pass rush, it'll work out fine.
Yeah,
The only
you can
issue
get
I
Verrett
have
back,
is third
I think
down
it'd be
and long.
good. Yeah, if we
Well,
can get Verrett back, I think we'll be solid. Maybe get one more guy just for injury purposes.
See, I don't want Verrett back, man. I love Verrett. I always liked Verrett as a player. I always rooted for him tough. But for me, I'm going after a guy like
Gilmore.
Kyle Fuller.
Hmm.
No, Gilmore's too expensive. Kyle Fuller can do everything that Verrett would do as far as being inexpensive, fighting for a starting role. If he doesn't start, no big deal. But he plays 16 games every year. He always
That's
has.
true. Yeah, unless
So
you're
for
like a
me,
Jalen
I'm-
Ramsey, I don't think. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, unless you can get somebody like Jalen Ramsey, I
Right.
don't think we need to overpay for corners.
I'm not doing the Gilmore thing. He's going to want like 13 a year. He's probably going to want a
Mhm.
2-year deal, 26 million. He's 32 years old, primarily plays man. The ball's going to drop off at some point. And I would we just talked about Kittle, right? Being a year early versus a year late. That's the mentality. I see where Grant's going with that. I'm certainly not signing a 32-year-old corner that primarily plays man and hoping that he somehow lasts and is elite for the next 2 years in that role while I'm paying him 13 million. I'll let him blow up on another team before I let him fall apart on mine.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yep. So that's my thought process. I'm not paying Gilmore.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, me neither. All right, appreciate it,
All
man.
right, brother. Yeah, have a good one. All right, Jacob, I'm coming to you. It's going to be Jacob, Chef Tommy, Chardal. Then it's going to be No Border Sports, and then Jake. All right. What's up, Jacob?
Hey man, what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How you been?
Hey man, I just been chilling out here.
You have, because you hit me up on Twitter, right?
Mhm.
You
Yep.
do you ever go into spaces at all?
Spaces? I haven't got the chance to, but I see them all the time. I'll listen and stuff, but yeah, I've been seeing them though.
Yeah, you should go in and talk in those, man. They're a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun. A
Oh
lot
yeah,
of
I feel
really
like
good conversation happens in Twitter Spaces. I want to do like a try to figure out how to do it, but get like a Twitter Space roundtable. Bring in like 5,
oh
6
yeah.
guys from Twitter Spaces and just do a show. I think it would be a blast because there's a lot of really good conversation. There's a lot of really good personalities that come out of that.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah, you should hop in.
for sure. I'll definitely do that. I'll definitely do that.
All right, man. What's on your mind?
All right, man. So first thing, man, we got to get this bum Jimmy Garoppolo off this team, man. We need to trade him for a 6th-round pick, trade him for a bag of chips. I do not care. Just get him off, get his money out of here. We just need him gone, you know. And I don't see the purpose of John Lynch kind of hinting, oh, if he needs, nah. It's like he needs to be gone. Like this needs to be Trey's team. The whole team focus needs to be Trey.
Yeah, time is of the essence too, because again, we've been talking about it. That salary cap is huge right now. They
Way too
have
big.
to get under by the 5th, or excuse me, by the 16th, and they have to
Mhm.
stay under the whole time. So you cannot re-sign your own guys and extend them and go sign other free agents if you're paying Jimmy G. They need every bit of that money right now. And the longer that he sits there, the more you're falling behind the 8 ball. That's why I'm starting to think that there's a possibility he might get cut, man. It's a real possibility right now. I don't like it, but it's possible.
Yeah, I don't like it either because I'd rather get something than rather than nothing, of course. But I feel like if we got to cut him, we just got to do it, and obviously it's got to be sooner rather than later. Because we have to pursue some free agents. So I also like how you mentioned Honey Badger. I like that a
Yeah.
lot. I like that look a
Yeah.
lot. I also wanted to ask you about what do you think about Justin Reed from the Texans?
I'm cool with Reed. I'm cool with Reed. I look at him. Well, I have two questions about Reed. First of all, how much of an upgrade is he over Tart? How much more
Mhm.
money is he going to cost than Tart? Like that to me, I got to figure that out.
Yeah, yeah.
And let's not forget that his brother left the 49ers with sour grapes. So is he willing to come play for San Francisco? That I don't know.
Hey man, let's take both of them back. Give me give me DJ Reed back. Come on, let me get both of them. Come on, and have them both be on the team. Let's reconcile. All right, come on. But
Yeah,
no, I feel like
I'm
I feel like Honey Badger or Justin Reed would be a great fit. Yeah, I do agree about the thing about Reed is his contract, and I mean Tart would be fairly cheaper than him. Also about Jason Verrett. It wouldn't hurt to bring him back on a non-guaranteed deal, but I could see him going as well and not being too mad at it because of obviously his injury prone. But I mean, it wouldn't hurt to have a little more depth, just to be cautious. Verrett's good when he's healthy. Obviously, like you said on Grant Show, when he's healthy. But
right. That's a big
yeah,
if.
no, I don't. Yeah, but let's say we draft like one or two more DBs, or maybe sign one in free agency and keep Verrett. I mean, it could really, lock down the DB room. So I feel like maybe they should consider that. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I'm not totally against bringing back Red. For me, I would prefer to let all these guys walk that are injury prone because they're taking up a roster spot. And the way that I see it is, look at what happened to San Francisco this year, right? They have
Mhm.
an injury to Verrett, they have an injury to Mostert, and they let go of a pretty good running back in Gallman because they thought they could rely on Mostert, right? So
Yep.
that was a player that they definitely could have used, especially when you look at what happened. I think in the Green Bay game and the game after that, they were thin at running back. So they could have used a player like Gallman and just kept him. And then the other side of that is they had to go out because Verrett gets injured and a couple other things happen. At that point, Mosley wasn't playing. They had to go get guys like Josh Norman,
Mhm.
Kirkpatrick, those types of guys and bring them off the street. But if I don't bring a guy like Verrett in, right? The other option is I can bring in an undrafted guy or a guy off of another team, pull him from a
Mhm.
practice squad or whatever, groom him, know that he knows the system, trust him a little bit. So if somebody does go down and I have to implement him, I'm not scrambling midweek on a Wednesday to go pull a 34-year-old out of retirement and ask him to come play for us. So, like for me, that is just as important as I get that Mostert's good. I get that Verrett's good, but at what cost? If these guys can't stay healthy and they're eating up a roster space, well, now they're hurting me in the long run a lot more than they're helping me. So that's the way that I kind of look at it. It's less about the money and more about the roster space that I actually put a lot of importance into.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree on that, and I feel like undrafted free agents could definitely take up that roster spot better than Verrett due to his injury history, obviously. So, I could see the point there, and I would let Mostert walk. I would let Mostert walk. I'd rather just draft a guy like you guys said tonight in Grand Show. Draft him. You guys done wonders with these guys in late picks. So I feel like we definitely need to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. They do. They need to draft a corner. They need to draft a running back late. Every year I'm drafting a running back like round 6 every single year, and I'm taking
Absolutely.
a fast guy in round 6 or round 7 and just seeing if he pops off. If he does, great. If he doesn't, no big deal. No harm, no foul. You don't expect 6th and 7th rounders to pan out anyways. No big deal. But I do trust this brass to draft players like that. And then same thing with corner. Round 4 every year, I'm looking to take a corner
Yeah.
just to see what happens. And whether he can play nickel, he converts to safety, he can play outside. Like those are things that the 49ers should be trying to add to the team. And by the way, even if they're not starters, they can contribute to special teams, both of those guys. So I think for me, those are positions where being young is a premium, where being cheap is at a premium. And if you can constantly have that rotation going and that competitive nature going, I think that that's a way to go. So I'm all about it.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that is the way to go, honestly. One last thing I want to talk about is one of you guys' topics on Grand Show is the about Jimmy in 2021. I do think if Trey played in the 2021 season, I'm fairly confident to say that we would have won the chip. I'm fairly confident. And obviously there would have been improvement through the whole year for Trey. And then all those, minor mistakes, all those rookie mistakes would have been, dealt with by the bye week, or even sooner because he's shown to improve really quick. I mean, what does he have? 2 games? Imagine what he could do in 17. I mean, the sky's a limit for him. And to hear Christian Watson say about, his leadership and how he's a good guy inside and out of the facility. I mean, come on now. I mean, what else more can you say about the guy? He's pure talent. I just think he needs game reps and he's going to get him next year and he's going to take us far, man. I truly, truly believe it.
Yeah, that's like the one thing. I wish I had a time machine to just see what would have happened, right? Like, because
Man,
nobody's ever going to be right. It all comes down to opinion. But if you could just see what would have happened, I would love, like, that would be, if I had a genie and I had 3 wishes, that would be wish number one. Let me see what would have happened if Trey Lance had been given the keys immediately. They had traded Jimmy G well before offseason work and everything started. They knew Trey Lance was going to be the guy. What would that look like? I wish I knew the answer to that. I agree, by the way. Obviously, I said it on Grant's show. I think a lot of people look at Trey Lance and they look at what he looked like throughout the preseason, right? And they're like, oh, there's no way he was
exactly.
ready for week one. But the problem with that is he wasn't given the keys right away. He wasn't even taking first team reps. If he was given the keys of the car right away and was taking first team reps all offseason, he would have been so much further along than what he was week one, that you're talking about a completely different player. We saw throughout a game how much he improved. So imagine weeks of practice and weeks of knowing that you're going to be the number one guy, how much that
Exactly.
improvement would have been. I mean, I think the sky would have been the limit for this team last year, but we'll never know. And people that
Yeah.
disagree, they can say they're right as well, because we will never truly know the answer to that question.
Yep. And I feel like we'll honestly find out next year pretty much. And I think that we got a good shot at the chip next year. I truly believe we do, honestly.
Yeah, we got the roster for it. It's health, man. We talked about Verrett getting injured. We talked about Mostert getting injured. Those
Yeah.
were big losses, right? But the
Week 1.
49ers were relatively healthy, especially down the
Mm,
stretch of that season. Now, can they maintain that again? This is a team that's been extremely injury prone the last couple of years. They've been very unlucky. They got a year of
yeah.
luck. Can they keep that up? If they can stay healthy, I really trust this team with Trey Lance at the helm, watching him improve throughout the year. I think the difference between him week 17 next year versus Jimmy Garoppolo at any point in his career, I think is going to be night and day. And I'm excited for that moment.
Oh, yeah, man. I completely agree with you on that, man.
All right, brother. You have a good one, man.
Hey, man. You too. Thank you, man.
All right, later. All right, Shardeezy, coming to you, man. What's up, Shardall?
Hey, what's up, dude?
How you doing?
Good.
Good. What's on your mind, bud?
Something something that really irks me is saying that Trey Lance isn't ready yet for the season. And like that doesn't really make any sense to me, because why don't people think he's ready yet to start?
Yeah, I think people have trouble believing what they can't see, right? And this is why, like, I'm just gonna throw religion into it for a second. Religion's such a controversial thing. Believing in something that you can't physically see, or put a touch, a scent, a feel to, is really hard for some people to put faith into. So you look at somebody like Trey Lance, who we've seen glimpses, right? And we saw him play really well in college, but that's against a much lower competition than the NFL. So until people see it, they want something tangible that they can put their finger on. And when Jimmy Garoppolo starts, and we know what Jimmy Garoppolo is, not the best quarterback. If he starts all year, even when injured, people are like, well, there's no way that Trey Lance is ready. And I think that's where it comes from. It's more, I got to see it to believe it type of thing. I can respect it. I just think that that they're wrong. I think that Trey Lance showed that he's plenty ready, and I'm excited to see Trey Lance show that he was every bit worth what they gave up for him.
Because what I'm really excited about with this kid is I'm really excited we can prove next season. I mean, because if this kid has talents up his sleeve and he can show it, and if he's not afraid to prove any doubters wrong, whoever have been putting him down the past year, saying that he's not a great quarterback, we should have got him in the draft. Why did we get him? Why did we make the decision in the first place? We shouldn't have done that. I mean, he's good. I mean, the thing I hate about everybody is that before saying somebody's not good, before doubting somebody, you should look at their talents and their skills before making any judgments about their personality and what they can do as a player.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that gets me, right? Is if you want to say he's not ready, that's fine. But a lot of people really have kind of trashed Trey Lance, which is interesting to me. Like it's a weird flex. It really is, because to me, to say that this guy who's supposed to be the franchise quarterback is never going to be that dude before you actually see it play out, like that's a bold strategy. That one's one that I cannot get behind, right? I understand that people got upset, talking quote unquote bad about Jimmy. I called it speaking the truth, but some people don't like it. That's fine. But I was called a fake fan for that by many people. Yet I see those same people telling me that Trey Lance is going to be buns. Well, if that's the case, I mean, are you a fake fan? Because you're talking about the next 15 years. You got mad at me for talking about this year, but you're saying the guy that's supposed to be the man for the next 15, he's buns before he even gets a chance to play. That one's weird to me.
To me, when I think about that, if I was a coach and somebody said something about Trey Lance right in front of my face, and then told my quarterback that your player's not great enough and he's not going to go far, I'm going to say, like, he's my quarterback and you can't say anything about him. It doesn't matter if he's good or not. I find the best in him. You can't say that about him, okay? It doesn't matter what if he's not the greatest, guy out there, and you don't believe in it. You keep that to yourself, because I myself am not a person of negativity. I don't like I don't like to go into the negative side. I always like to keep everything positive, everything nice and great. Cause it's just like, cause people are gonna say everything about Trey Lance. People are gonna put him down. But that doesn't affect me, because I'm gonna find the greatest in him. Doesn't matter what he has.
Well, I actually do want to touch on something you said. I said this a week or two on Grant's show. I think it was 2 weeks ago. And when all the rumors came out about Trey Lance being the starter, or would they keep Jimmy? Would they trade for Brady? Would they trade for Aaron Rodgers? That to me was like the perfect moment to get Trey Lance to forever buy into being a player for you. If I'm Kyle Shanahan, the way I look at leadership is reverse poker. What I mean by that is when you play poker, your goal is to take as many chips from the person across the table from you as possible, right? Like that's the goal when you play poker. Reverse poker would be giving as many chips. And as a leader, you should be giving out as many chips as possible to those guys that are, whether you're a coach, you'd be talking about your players. If you work retail, you'd be talking about your employees, whatever. But as a leader, you want to give those chips out. And the reason that you do that is because at some point you're going to ask that person, you're going to look them in the eyes and say, listen, I need you to go all in for me. At work, that may be, well, somebody called out sick. I need you to come in and work on your day off. Or in football, that's, hey, we need a game-winning drive from you right now. I believe in you. I need you to go all in and win this game. But if you haven't given any of those chips as a leader, how can you expect somebody to go all in? I bring all that up to circle around and say, basically what you're saying is, the way I'm hearing you is, if Shanahan, knowing that all this talk is happening, goes to Trey Lance, he doesn't have to do it publicly, by the way. He could have done this privately, and maybe he has. But go to Trey Lance while all these rumors are happening and saying, listen, you are going to be my starter next year. You're the guy that I wanted. You're the guy that's going to be here long term. I believe in you. Don't worry about the rest of that noise. I got you. You're my guy. I'm your coach. We got this. If he's done that, and maybe he has, then for me, that leadership right there, that conversation is going to hold so much weight for 3, 5, 10 years down the line as this relationship grows. And the moment that Shanahan needs Trey Lance to go all in, he'll certainly be able to get that from him. And it starts right now.
Because when you look at a head coach, the job of a head coach is to find the best of it in to find the best in all his players. That's really his job to do, and he should be doing that to the best of his ability. As a professional in this football industry. To me, when I found out that when a coach bashes his star player in front of everyone, it really hurts me, because I find that why do you have to demean your player? Why do you have to say all these things in front of everybody? So everybody is watching you do this. It's like you're insulting yourself in front of everyone. It's like you're making a scene in front of this whole thing that, to me, when I think of Kyle Shanahan, to me, I think he's this fatherly figure, and then Trey Lance is his son. That's exactly what it's like. Like your father's is saying things to you, so would you say that is a kind of a good comparison, that Shanahan is the kind of the dad, and then Trey Lance is the son?
I would say in this scenario,
situation?
I would say in this scenario, no, just because Trey Lance does have such a good, firm family life. But he definitely is going to look to Shanahan to be a leader, right? Like, he's going to respect what Shanahan brings to the table. Shanahan, hopefully they can have a long working relationship. So yeah, he's going to look for guidance, especially at a football level. And it's an opportunity for Shanahan to get down to his level and let him know that he's going to be there for him and wrap his arm around him. So the thing is about Shanahan, I definitely was on him early on for not doing those types of things, but I think he really did put in a conservative effort to make that happen. I think that he worked really hard on his leadership. I think that showed throughout the season, and I think Shanahan, for the long term, is better for it. So I think it's going to be great, Chardell. Don't worry about what people are saying on Twitter and social media. Don't worry about what they're saying on ESPN. I think it'll be fine. I think Shanahan and Trey Lance are going to do some great things, and just be excited for it.
Yeah, because I'm really excited. Cause this, all I care is that the Trey Lance don't a motivational message that I have for Trey Lance is that don't worry about the haters out there. Just play your game of football, and that's it. That's what you do. You're an athlete. Just do your job, play football, do a great job, and forget about what those people say, because those people can say all of the hateful things they want every single day. I mean, you're not going to let that stop you. You're not going to let all those messages bring you down. You're a football player, man. That's number one. That's really number one, what it's that. And then, you know, just because I know you have what you got next season, and just show it.
Listen,
Just show it.
here's
on
the
the
here's the
field.
cool thing about Trey Lance is he's been doubted his whole life, Chardall. Trust me, he's using all this as motivation. He'll be fine. Chardall, listen, you're a superstar. I gave you 10 minutes. I only give 5 minutes. I gave you 10. So I appreciate you calling in, Chardall. I was glad that I was able to give you the platform, and call in next week. All right, brother?
It was really great. I really great. I really like coming on your show. You're an absolute star as well.
Thank you.
I'll say you're star number. I'm star number one. You're star number two.
Hey, I'll take it. Listen, if I'm star number 2 behind Chardall, I'll take it. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
I'm Steph Curry. You're Klay Thompson. Let's do it. Splash Brothers.
Hey, but I play really good defense. Watch out now, and I can win 3-point contests as well. I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
All
But
right, brother.
I'll definitely try calling in next time. I really love calling in, man. See you later.
Thanks, Shardall. Bye.
See ya.
Love Shardall, man. He's such a kind-hearted dude. All right. Crypto Ryan, I'm coming to you. Then Jake, then Chris, then AJ. AJ, I'm so curious. That's not a dog, that's a bunny, yeah? Is that a bunny rabbit you're holding? No? What is that? Dog? It's a dog? I don't know. Your screen's like this big. That's a small dog. Big bunny or a small dog? I don't know. And then John, I'm coming to you. All right. What's up, Crypto?
What up, Jesse?
He says it's not a bunny rabbit, it's a dog.
All right, it's hard to see in the little screens, huh?
Yeah, it's super hard to see, especially because when you guys are in the back, it's got like a gray haze over you too, so I don't get to see it clear.
Yeah. No, I totally get you. One little critique though.
Yeah, what's up?
When Shardall comes in the chat, you should take the little the banner down, just because you know what I'm saying. Sure. Shardall, you ain't gotta worry about him, and half the show is watching him go, goat on everybody. You know what I mean?
Hey, it's true. No. And he's always got those stunner shades on too. Like,
why do you think I got stunner shades? Don't you know?
But the problem is I'm kind of stupid, and I'll just forget to put it back up, and then I'll end up being screwed because of it. So I just got to keep it up.
So, you were talking on After Dark about Trey Greenlaw trade.
Yeah.
So now, what do you think we can actually get for him? What's the range you'd say?
I think they can get a fourth. I really do. I think they can get a late fourth. And that's I wanted to bring that up on Grant's show because I know he's going real hard after trading Kittle, but I wanted to shift his mind a little bit to something a little bit more realistic, right? And something that they should consider, which is trading Greenlaw. Here's the thing about the 49ers and any organization, right? Is that if you have a specific position that you really know how to develop and train, and you can get the best out of them, a la Pittsburgh with wide receiver, you're confident that you can continue to draft, train, and make those guys better. So linebacker is that position for the 49ers. They do a fantastic job, a phenomenal job of drafting those guys, grooming them, getting the best out of them. So for me, I trust myself in this regime to draft a linebacker. So before I pay a guy that I know I'm not going to be able to afford anyways, I trade him, I get some assets, and then, I either draft his replacement with another late round pick or whatever. But I think also with Hufanga being there and kind of playing that star role, that hybrid linebacker safety role, I really think that he's expendable. And Azeez Al-Shaair was fantastic this year.
Well, you can bring Azeez over and then prove Hufanga up. No, I totally get that. You really think it's only like a late fourth? You don't think you can get a little bit more than that?
I mean, I could see just a fourth, regardless of where it's at. I don't think he's worth a third by any means. Linebacker is one of those positions, right? Like, unless you're a major superstar, you're not that impactful of a player. You can be impactful, right? But what I'm saying is, if you look at the level of impact, you're looking at quarterback, you're looking at offensive line, defensive line, corner, safety, possibly. Linebackers kind of down the road, right? So like for me, knowing that I'm gonna have to pay this kid, he just came off of an injury, and the 49ers really do groom linebackers well, I'll take him. But I can't really see anything above a fourth for him.
I just don't know. I think there's some thirsty teams out there that would definitely be willing to I don't, with the caliber of, linebackers, I don't think he's the true Mike, but in other teams, he would be their best, linebacker on the field. You know what I mean? And I just think we get more from him.
Well, and listen, they may be able to get like a fourth and a sixth or a fourth and a fifth. Like I'll hear that. I really don't think that they could get like a flat
into the
out
third.
anything. Yeah, I don't think they could get anything higher than a fourth, but they could get more than a fourth. I'll hear that. Yeah, and maybe I'm
Now,
wrong. Hell, maybe they could get a third. I don't know. James
now I
seems
was
to think they can.
well, you and Grant were also talking about Jimmy and his trade value, right? And will they cut him? Will they this or that? And I just started thinking, well, if all the Sharks know that the blood's in the water, are they going to really go up and try and risk themselves getting hurt trying to kill it, or are they just going to wait for it to bleed out and then feast on the remains? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
why would any team really trade any assets when they know that the clock's ticking and that decision has to be made? And if nobody calls, then they're just cutting their losses and he's out on the street. Then why not just get it for the cheap? Then you don't have to worry about that contract. Then you don't have to worry about sending the pick. To me, it seems like it would be the best and smartest thing. I would rather compete in free agency, essentially, with another team over Jimmy Garoppolo's contract price than send a pick over to the San Francisco 49ers and then have that whale of a contract now in my lap, and now I have to deal with it. To me, it just seems like Niners really screwed themselves out of getting a draft pick last year, because like time's ticking. You also got he's got surgery coming on. Like, you know what I mean? Like
16 weeks before he can throw again, man. That's a long time.
Yeah. So that scares me.
Yeah, it scares the hell out of me too, man. I'm really starting to kind of come to grips with the possibility he could just be cut, because you're right. Not only is it the Watsons, the Wilsons, the Rogers, everybody talks about those guys, and that's great. But if Wentz gets cut, if Minshew's out there, if Trubisky's out there, Mariota's out there, like I'm taking a chance on these guys. Like I'm Jameis Winston. I'm taking a chance on these guys and drafting another quarterback, right? Because why am I going to spend, let's say, a third round pick on Jimmy while also spending a second round pick on a young quarterback? So now I've wasted a second and a third for what? Like, I know Jimmy's not the long term answer. That's one. So I already know that going in, and I just traded a third for him. But what if this other kid's not the long term answer? I just spent a second and a third on nothing, essentially. I'm not doing it. Like, I'm taking in one of those veteran guys, taking a young quarterback. Now, the one team that I keep going back to, though, is the Commanders. I genuinely think Washington is the one team that is the perfect fit for Jimmy based off of what they need, because they do have a coach that needs to win this year. If he loses again and gets fired, he is never going to be a head coach in the NFL again. It's just not going to happen. So for him, it is that big of a deal that they win this year. And I know what Jimmy is. For everything that Jimmy's not, I also know what he is. And I know that if I can put together a good team around him, and I believe Washington has a good enough team in the NFC East by adding Jimmy Garoppolo, where they could make the playoffs. Like I'm okay hitching my truck to that wagon versus going after a Jameis Winston that who knows what's going to happen, right? So like I could see Washington. They're the one team that I just can't get over and think that there is that possibility, but I could be wrong.
I think that's horrible strategy, because after watching Jimmy for so long, I think it's extremely irresponsible for you to put your future in the hands of him. You know what I mean? I think if you're on the hot seat already and your big move is to get Jimmy G, I think that just shows that you need to be fired before the season. Like, so people were talking about Jimmy G's goes to Indianapolis, right? And I said, that's stupid.
No
and
way.
everybody's like, no, man, no. And I'm like, oh, so you want a quarterback who knows the system and played in it last year to leave that system, and another quarterback to come in, learn the new system, who has the same, I would say are the same talent. You know what I mean? They've got a little bit of, Carson Wentz can move. Jimmy, yeah, you know what I mean, can't. But when it comes down to it, they shit the bed all the time. So, you know what I mean? But if I'm a coach, if someone's going to S the bed, it's going to be the guy who I know how he S's the bed, so I can try and limit it, instead of bringing another guy in who now I've got to learn his S'ing problems. And you know what I mean? Like, To me, it made no sense. Why would you? At least Carson Wentz knows how to underthrow a ball for someone to get a PI. You know?
Okay, this is what I don't understand, right? So if I'm making the argument for Jimmy Garoppolo over Carson Wentz, here's how I'm prefacing that argument. I'm saying something along the lines of the Colts had their season on the line. They were playing the Jaguars. Carson Wentz and this team fell apart, right? Carson Wentz is not a leader. The 49ers, in contrast, were playing a quarterback who had a hurt thumb. They were down 17 against the eventual Super Bowl champions in a must-win situation on the road, and they were able to get it done. That's how I'm selling Jimmy Garoppolo. But instead, here's what ESPN said. Well, they need a guy who can throw downfield consistently. Carson Wentz is not that guy, and Jimmy Garoppolo is. What games are you watching? Like, that's
Right.
How do you say you've never seen a 49er game without saying you've never seen a 49er game? That's how you say it. So there are ways to sell Jimmy Garoppolo over Carson Wentz. Now, me personally, heads up, Carson Wentz is a better player. We saw them on the same field at the same time. Carson Wentz was better. Carson Wentz was more efficient this year. Carson Wentz has a bigger arm. Carson Wentz is more mobile. I'm going with Carson Wentz. They both make boneheaded plays. They both are injury prone. But if I had to pick one, I would take Carson Wentz. But the gap is not huge. I don't think that getting rid of Carson to bring in Jimmy is at all the answers that you're looking for. I think that's a horrible idea.
Yeah. I think it makes your team worse.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yes.
But I just want to, I'll let you get on to the next guy, or next person, I should say. Just want to shout out a new project I've been doing. It's called 5 Guys and a 6-Pack. It's
Okay,
with
I like it.
me, Waruna, Barry a Baller, Chewy from Chewy and Alejandra, and Randon Commando 24 from Cerberus Sports.
Yeah, I like it. That's good. That's smart. That's what you guys need to be doing, right? You get
Yep.
together a bunch of smaller channels, you promote each other, you build each other up. That's definitely something that I did early on. I think that's a smart way to go about it. You guys all promote it equally. You get your names out there. You get more practice, playing host, co-host, whatever. I think that's fantastic. That's super, super smart. I highly, highly encourage it. Are you guys like rotating channels? Are you doing it on a certain channel? Okay.
We're
even
rotating
better.
channels.
Yeah. Smart.
Baller will be on the first of the month on his channel, and we'll just go from there.
Perfect. That is so smart. I love that.
Oh yeah, it's really good. We finished our first one last night, and everybody was all like, "This was awesome!" So then we're going to try and work in some trivia or do something like have some kind of a game. You know what I mean?
I like
And
it.
obviously, always have something to wet our whistle while we're working.
I love it. No, it's different. It's different. And it's a good group of guys. I talk football with all of you guys. So yeah, I think it's a smart idea. You guys are onto something with that. I like it.
Thank you.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you later.
You have a wonderful evening, sir.
You too, man.
Bye.
All right, Jake from State Farm coming to you. What's up, Jake?
Yo, what up, Jesse?
How you doing, man?
Good, man. Just hanging out, man.
Good, man. What's on your mind?
No, man. I just want to talk about Trey Lance and the system that the Shanahan's run. Like, have the Shanahan system ever seen a quarterback with Trey Lance's with his gifts? With all the things that he could do.
Well, the Shanahan system has John Elway, but and Steve Young, obviously, but Kyle Shanahan, no, I don't believe so. He's never had a quarterback like that at his disposal. Now, he's had some good guys, right? Like Matt Ryan's a hell of a quarterback, but just strictly skill set for skill set, no, not at all. Nothing at all at this level, in my opinion.
Definitely, and that takes me to my next. My thing is, if Kyle could do what he could do with this team with Jimmy, imagine what he could do with Trey. And it's crazy how people can't see that. It's like Trey has all the gifts.
Well,
that's one in QB.
Yeah, listen, here's the thing is we presumably saw Trey Lance at his worst, right?
Yeah.
Like first time playing in over a year, first time seeing the NFL game. not being the starter, right? Like trying to learn things on the fly. So if we presumably saw him at his worst, and I take those numbers from those 6 quarters that he played, the two quarters in Seattle, I remove the touchdown against Detroit or the touchdown against Green Bay because those weren't starts or he wasn't the guy. But I take the 2 quarters against Seattle, the 4 quarters against Arizona, the 4 quarters against the Texans, and I break that up over a 17-game season. That's over 4,000 yards passing, over 1,000 yards rushing, and I think 34 total touchdowns with 14 total turnovers. That's at his worst. Now, I know that's not perfect science, right? Saying that and saying, well, that's for sure what he's going to be. But it's also not perfect science the other way, meaning it could be better than that because he's going to get better as he plays. So for me, yes, I think the floor of Trey Lance is better than the ceiling of Jimmy Garoppolo. I really do believe that.
Yeah, and I think even in those games, you could see it. Like you could see the difference between him and Jimmy, and just the threat that he puts out there. And I think this next coming up season, we're gonna see that, and he's gonna make a lot of people eat their words. That's how I feel personally, just by seeing just what he could do just in those few games that we saw.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super optimistic.
Yeah, very optimistic, man. And that was pretty much that was my only question, really, just to see what your thought was on on Trey.
Yeah, listen, I'm a big Trey guy, so I'm excited to see Trey play. But you're right. I'm not expecting. Like, I think people are going to look at it. There are going to be these people out there, so be ready for it.
Yeah, definitely.
That if they don't make an NFC Championship, well, see, I told you he's not as good as Jimmy. Like, you're going to hear stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
What I ultimately want to see from Trey is I want to see progression. I want to see the kid getting better. I expect to see a far different player week 17 than I do week 1. That's what I want to see. And if I see that, regardless of stats, regardless of how they finish, make the playoffs, whatever, then it's a successful season in my mind. And we're looking towards a bright future. If we don't see that, and conversely, we make the playoffs, I'm a little worried about it, right? Like the year that the 49ers made it to the Super Bowl, I was like, they got to get rid of Jimmy. Like this guy, every time he drops back, I'm worried he's going to throw an interception. Like that's the feeling I got from watching Jimmy at his best in 2019. Now that was, people had blinders on because they made a Super Bowl. Then they lost a Super Bowl. People are heartbroken, whatever. And I think people had their blinders on. But if you just take that season for what it is, and knowing what he's turned out to be, I think we kind of always saw this coming. So to me, it's not about wins. It's not about losses. It's really not even about the numbers. It's the feeling I get from putting eyes on it. And do I see him get better? And if I do, success. That's a success to me.
Yes. Well, yeah, definitely, man. Same here. And with Trey too, I just think that he has, with the arm strength that he has and how he could make, those deep throws, he's going to make the whole offense, everything easier on the offense. Because I think instead of Garoppolo making those dink and dunk plays, 5 to 10 yard passes, Trey's going to be doing 25-yard bombs, 30-yard bombs, who knows what. And it's just going to cut the field shorter for them to, instead of driving down the field like Jimmy in those short little plays or making big runs with Debo, I think they're just going to have big chunk pass plays with him, and it'll, just help out the offense in the long run, I think, with injuries and, everything else.
Well, we already saw that, by the way. Week 17 when he played, they said that the average air yards per attempt, so basically how far he's pushing the ball down the field, is the most that they've had in the last 3 seasons. All it took was 2 starts for him to already show that arm strength. So, yeah, he's going to be taking more chances. He is going to be pushing the ball down the field more, and that's going to be fantastic because this running game is already elite. You add in a quarterback that can run and a quarterback that can keep the safeties further than 8 to 10 yards downfield. It's massive. It's going to work wonders. And ultimately, this is still going to be a run-first team, especially while Trey is young. And if he can make it easier for the run game, I think the 49ers are going to continue to be very, very competitive.
Definitely. And then it'll make Kyle Shanahan's job a lot more easier, I think, as well. He's going to open up so much more for him. And it's just, it's exciting to, to see. Well, going to see eventually.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, brother. I got to get on to the next one. I appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure, man.
All right, later.
Later.
How long have I been a Niner fan? Well, I'm 38. Age of 6 or so. I rooted for every team in red, thinking it was the 49ers. I didn't know any better. But yeah, about the age of 6 is when I became a 49er fan. The first real memory I have of watching the 49ers was, I want to say was it 88 when they lost to the Giants. I can't remember what the year was, but I remember watching that game alone at my mom's and then crying afterwards. I was 6, 7 years old. That's the first real memory I have of the San Francisco 49ers. So yeah, it's been a long time, man, about 32 years. All right, Chris, what's up, man?
Hey Jesse, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing fantastic, brother. How you been?
I'm doing good, man. First time caller. Thanks for taking my call, and you're gonna
Yeah.
trash me right now, man. I'll
I'm not
admit
going to
this right
trash you.
now.
Listen,
No,
I'm
no,
not
no.
going to
Check
trash
this
you.
out. No, 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 no. Check this
Yeah.
out. You're gonna trash me because the first team I was a fan of, when you were talking about, being a Niner fan and all that, the
Mhm.
first game I ever watched was the 92-93 Super Bowl, Dallas Cowboys and Buffalo Bills, and I'll admit it right here, right now. I was a Dallas Cowboy fan before a 49er fan. So
Well,
it
how
took
old were
me
you
about
though? How old were you?
I was, oh man, 93. So I was 5 years old. So first game ever. And then I watched, or no, 92, excuse me, 92. And then I watched the 93, right? Was that it? 92, 93. The Cowboys played Bills back to
Back,
back.
back. Yeah.
Sorry to pull us down the Cowboy rabbit hole, but yeah, man. But yeah,
Nah,
I
you were
ended
too
up,
young to trash you. That's funny though. That's kind of a crazy story, right? I would
yep.
imagine being that young, the way that it happened was you probably watched them in back-to-back Super Bowls. They won. Then the
hmm
49ers won, and you're like, oh, I really like this team. And then you probably were old enough to really make a decision at that point, and you stuck with the 49ers. Is that kind of how it went down, or what?
Oh no, it gets worse, bro. You feel
Oh
free to
no.
trash me at any point, man. So I watched them all the way through '95. I watched them win the Super Bowl in '95. I
Mhm.
was bragging in front of a bunch of 49er fans. Go ahead, trash me. And then I finally went to my first 49er game with my uncle, saw what
Mm.
it was, and then I got rid of all my Niner gear. And yeah, so like late '90s, early 2000s. Since then, been a Niner fan, die hard. Yeah, man, it's just what you grow up watching, in my opinion. I
For
mean, I
sure.
grew up watching the Braves on TBS when I came home from school. They were on.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I mean,
Were you
that's
a
just
West Coast
it.
guy? Are you a West Coast guy?
Yeah, yeah, I'm out in
Okay.
Santa Cruz. So, yeah,
Yeah.
so
Okay. See,
just
so
grew up
all right,
watching
so
what
that
was on
makes
TV.
sense. I'll tell you
Yep.
what, because the Braves were, I'm not a big baseball guy now, but yes, even though Seattle was super close, right? I was a big Ken Griffey Jr. fan. The
hmm
Braves being on, what was it, like TNT and TBS back then, that
Yep.
was the team that I rooted for. Also, the Cubbies were
hmm
always on Channel 9. So everybody in Portland, Oregon was either a Cubs fan or a Braves fan. They were either a 49er fan or a Cowboy fan. Like that was it, because that's what you saw on
That's
TV.
funny.
The fact though, here's where I'm going to give you some credit. I would love to trash you on the Cowboys thing because I think it's funny,
Please.
but I'm going to give you credit that it was after the Super Bowl win and when the 49ers were starting to be really at their worst. That's when you came through to be a fan. So I got to give you some credit for that.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I even had to bite the bullet when I watched the Niners pass on Aaron Rodgers, and I was just hoping, like, please get Aaron Rodgers, get Marshawn Lynch, like, let's roll. But that, it is what it is. I rode through all that. I've been here since then. So, but anyways, man, I want to talk about this crazy Jimmy stuff and going to that article what you were talking about hold on, let me go back to it. I had to write this down. That ESPN article about them saying that Wentz and Jimmy, talking about Jimmy having an arm downfield, like who are these Jimmy stands and these dudes back east not staying up past freaking 4 p.m. West Coast time? Like, what is going on over there? Who do these guys think they're watching? No, all this, obviously, I don't got to say it over and over again. All of us saw it all season. Jimmy didn't throw outside the numbers. Jimmy didn't throw downfield. So, like, what's going on here? The only way that anybody gets Jimmy G this year, or trades for him this year, excuse me, is if there is no one else out there in the free agency market. And by then, the 49ers will have already cut him because they need that draft cap, or excuse me, that free agency money, right? So I have some names for you right here, right? We got
Okay. I like this.
Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. I mean, we got Brian Hoyer, Colt McCoy, uh, Mitchell Trubisky, Marcus Mariota, Jacoby Brissett, Jameis Winston, Cam Newton, Andy Dalton, Ryan Fitzpatrick. All those guys are going to be free agents. So I feel like with him getting the surgery, Grant kind of hit it on the head earlier. Like he's forced him into a corner with the 49ers into a corner where like they have to release him. Where else is he going to be able to go? No one's going to trade for him at this point. No one wants that cap hit. Anybody can go out and sign any of those other guys in the free agency market. So I feel like there's nowhere for him to really go at this point in the trade market. Like he's done as a 49er. He's going to get cut before his cap hit. So I don't know. It's crazy to me that people think why are we even talking about him getting traded? Makes no sense to me.
Yeah, man. I agree. Like here's the thing though too, and let me be clear about this. And we do this with all players. By the way, I'm starting to realize all fans do this with their players. I think we assume that everybody watches every game in and out the way that we do, right? And I know that that's kind of the job of some of these guys, but at the same time, it's impossible to do like when you're on national TV, right? So I expect these horrible takes from some of these guys. That being said, though, I also think that sometimes because we do see so much of every single one of our players that we either overvalue or undervalue them based off of the way that the league sees them. And I say that to say this, we know what Jimmy Garoppolo is, right? We've seen it for a long time, but from the outside looking in, knowing that the league really, let's be honest, the league when it's at its best has maybe 15 guys that can go out and actually win you football games, right? That you trust is not going to go F it off and can at least hold the line and possibly win you games. That's when it's at its best. But most of the time, the league is filled more with guys that you're hoping don't screw it up, right? And Jimmy falls into that category. But then there's a whole other tier of guys that are going to screw it up who are still starters in the NFL because there really just isn't that many great quarterbacks. And Jimmy's better than all of those guys. So I say that to say there's a possibility that we are undervaluing Jimmy Garoppolo because we know what he is, but not knowing the ins and outs of the rest of the league and watching every quarterback down in and down out, that they realize, hey, he is better than some of the alternatives that we think are just as good because we don't put eyes on him every single play, much like ESPN analysts don't put eyes on Jimmy every single play. And so they make it sound like he's better than what we know he actually is as well. So who knows? I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's for sure going to change anything. That's kind of my hope at this point. I hope that that's the case and that we are a little bit wrong so that they can get something, because I am starting to worry that they might have to cut this guy, man. And that is worst case scenario.
Yeah, it totally makes sense if they'd have to cut him. But I think you're hitting it on the head there. We might be undervaluing him. And at the same time, when I talk about stands back east, I think we got John Lynch in certain people's ears in the media trying to pump up Jimmy's value. And, there's going to be a dummy that's going to bite for a, possible draft pick for him if they do pump up his value. So I think you're hitting the head on something. And if you do think he does get released, I mean, I was talking to a couple of my buddies of mine, and I think he's going to want to go to a situation where he's going to be able to succeed, not so much start immediately. Like, I think he's going to want to go somewhere. Maybe he, sits behind someone that, like a high-valued rookie that hasn't proved it yet, into a system that he's played in. Maybe he looks into going and sitting behind a young quarterback in New York, in playing for the Jets or playing for Miami. I don't know. I was just throwing that out there. What would you think about something like that? If instead of going into a situation where he starts immediately with this shoulder injury, do you think he can go into a situation where he sits behind somebody that's, if they're still on a prove it deal, they haven't had their second contract yet?
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. Like you look at like a Cleveland, right? But in that scenario, the 49ers certainly aren't going to get anything for him. They would probably have to cut him. And I think like that's a possibility where, like, if I'm Jimmy, you may not get that much money by doing it this way, But imagine, like, let's say he goes to Cleveland, right? We know that Baker's pretty bad, but let's say he goes in there and beats out Baker Mayfield, right? Wins a few games, gets them into the playoffs. Like, he's instant credibility. He's going to get paid pretty good, and the fans will love him forever for that, right? So, yeah, I mean that, or like you said, a Daniel Jones type situation. I think that those long term could actually be really good solutions for Jimmy to continue his career, because I genuinely do think, and I could be wrong again, I might be undervaluing Jimmy G because I do watch him down in and down out, but man, if this is the best you are with Shanahan and these weapons, this defense, I could see a situation where he's either career backup or doesn't want to do that, and so he just retires and is out of the league in 3 years. And more on his own accord. He's certainly could be a backup anywhere for the rest of his career. He's good enough for that, but I mean, if he blows it at his next place, nobody's gonna want him as a starter anymore, man. Like, that's, that ship will sail. He'll have the Fitzpatrick career if he wants it, where he gets spot starts and is a bridge guy constantly. But I genuinely don't think that he'll be a long term starter outside of San Francisco. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to want to go into a situation where he's, kind of getting. I personally don't think he's going to want to go into a situation where he's going to get kind of thrust into a starting position where it's he himself has to prove it or lose it. And I think he is at that point in his career where, this is his last chance wherever he goes next. And coming off a shoulder injury, I personally think it'd be in his best interest to go in that route, to go and sit behind like a Daniel Jones or something like that. And, once they get hurt, once they get slipped, or once they slip up, there's Jimmy G 3-4 weeks into the season. He's had a chance to better understand the playbook. He's healed up a little bit better. He's had some reps with the new team under his belt. Now he's sliding into a position where maybe he feels a little bit more comfortable and confident, 4 weeks into the season, 6 weeks into the season. So I don't know. I was just kind of tossing that idea around, and it's kind of where I'm heading right now. But man, thank you so much for taking my call tonight. I really appreciate it. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, you too, man. Thanks for calling in. That was a fantastic call. I'll talk to you later, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, let's get through these calls. In order to get through them all, I've got 9 of you waiting. I'm not going to take any more calls. I've got you 9 in the back. I'll get to all of you, but we got to keep it to the 5 minutes, right? You got to remember, I'm East Coast, so it's almost midnight over here. So for anybody else, after Wheels Up podcast, nobody else is calling in. If you are backstage right now, I promise I will get to you. Let's try our best to keep it to the 5 minutes, though, so that we can get through everybody and do it in a timely manner. I appreciate it. AJ, I'm coming to you. What's up, man?
What's going on, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. That's a cool background you got. You got the Trent Williams, Trent Williams and Dallas background. That's dope.
Yeah, I got to get that as a shirt, man. I've been putting that as my background anytime I do any of these talks. That's always my background, just because I literally said this. Like, I as soon as I figured out that Trey Lance wasn't starting, I said the season was going to be basically a failure because of the fact that there wasn't really much to it. No, we don't have a first-round draft pick. Jimmy G starting, no experience for Trey Lance. I felt like it was a losing season, so I said that if the Niners beat the Cowboys, that's my Super Bowl, and that would be my winning season, and we did it. But first and foremost, I just want to say thank you, man. You really are a stand-up guy. Thank you so much for responding to me on Twitter. I do appreciate that, and I'm taking up your advice. I appreciate that.
Hey, yeah, anytime, man. I appreciate you reaching out. Everything happens for a reason, man, and like I said, just keep your head up, man. Yeah, things are gonna be fine. Everybody goes through ups and downs, so I appreciate you reaching out, man, and,
of course.
Calling in too, man.
Yeah, of course. No, anytime I get the chance, literally, like I said, I taken your advice. I just finished recording with my brother, so I'm in the mood to talk football.
There you go. I love it. Let's go.
First and foremost, I know that you were talking about Jimmy G, and what his trade value is. I don't know if I almost feel like we should pull a Rams and say screw the draft and just go players and just pay for our Super Bowl. Like, really, I don't mind it. We did it when we got prime time. I mean, we basically built up our team through free agency and so on. I feel the same way with this. I think that we should just get rid of our draft picks. Hopefully, instead of trading Jimmy for a player, for a pick, then we should go for a player and see what we get out of that. And I agree with you. I do think that his best place is Washington. Just because I think they're kind of like our little brother version. Like, they don't have the best secondary. They have a good D line. I think they were arguably the most disappointing thing in the NFC this year.
Yes, they were.
That much talent to have that result is just unacceptable. But yeah, I think his best place is to go to Washington, as well as I think that we should hopefully trade for a player rather than a pick, and kind of just start, like I said, pulling a Rams and trading all our picks and trying to get some players. What do you think?
Listen, if the players are there, I'm all about it. They have to get crafty. I think what's interesting about the Rams is everybody talks about how they traded all their assets, but if you look at the Rams from 2017 through last year, they had the second most picks in the NFL from the second round on. So they actually did a good job of building through the draft. Now, this last year, they certainly went all in. Their first round pick, their second round pick, their third round pick, all of them gone, right? But they knew, like, hey, we're a quarterback away. Let's go get an edge defender. Let's go get, OBJ. We can win this year. They knew that that's where they're at. Now, where's Trey Lance at? And do the 49ers believe that with Trey Lance, they are a player or two away, let's say the caliber of, I don't know, a JPP or something like that, right? What does that move look like? And by acquiring those players, do they believe that they are Super Bowl ready? Well, I think it's probably more likely that what would happen is they get 5 weeks or so into the season. They start out 4-1. Trey Lance looks amazing. They're going, oh my gosh, we really can win. And then they trade the picks in 2023.
I actually don't
try
think
to win
we're going to have us good. And don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those people like, the Niners are going to tank because of Trey Lance. I actually think we're going to do way better with Trey Lance. But I think there is going to be adjustment period. I do see us starting off like 2-3, 2-4, just so he could get his feel. And by that point, I think he's going to have enough experience. I mean, that's 6 games in. That's, essentially more than 1/3 of the season. I think that's going to be enough for him to be like, okay, I got this. I can do this. Because you can see one thing or two that I think why we need to get rid of Jimmy G ASAP is Kyle Shanahan has not done a good job keeping up Trey Lance's confidence. And I'd say confidence is one of the most important things to have as a quarterback. And I do think that if we get rid of him, it shows more commitment towards Trey Lance, because there's still all those rumors they might keep him. They might not be able to trade him. They might he's actually still doing pretty good. Maybe keep for another year. I think that's really doing a lot of harm towards Trey Lance's confidence. I think once he gets traded, I think that's even going to boost him alone, just with the confidence from Jimmy G being gone and seeing that he is their guy and they're proving it. And as well as I know that people's biggest rebuttal towards the Rams trading all their picks, and they're saying that, that's basically a win now and then we're going to suffer later. We don't have that problem. All of our key players are younger, and we're going to resign. We're going to resign him. Trey Lance is on his second year. George Kittle, yes, he's a little bit older, but we still got him for a few years. We got Trent Williams, we just locked up. Deebo Samuel, Nick Bosa are about to get paid. Our focal points on the team are here to stay. So we can afford to get rid of our drafts because we already have a solid team based around Trey Lance. And so that's why I really do think we should trade our picks and just start going for players and start going to win now, get more help from him. I really wish I'm praying that we get Tyrann Mathieu, because I think that would be an amazing replacement for Jaquiski Tartt. And if not him, then somehow, some way, try to get Chandler Jones to help us with that D line. And those are my two crushes right now on defense, on the defensive side for free agency.
Well, listen, I'm fully with you. I mean, obviously, I talked about the Honey Badger earlier, but yesterday, my co-host and I, man, those were the two players. I came up with Honey Badger. He said Chandler Jones. So we're with you. I'm with you. I mean, that's a great way to make an impact. The other thing about Chandler is you're taking a strong player away from a division rival. That's always a fantastic thing. So, yeah, I mean, you get players like that, dude. That defense is rocking.
Unfair.
Like, you are solidified. So I'm not necessarily against it. The cool thing is this: they can keep all those draft picks. They can still go get those players because they are free agents. If they rework the deal of Ward and Armstead, they literally can free up $16 million overnight.
Yeah,
that's the money you need to go get those guys.
Especially Ward. I think he's earned the right to keep that free safety position. I think he's earned the right. I think he's a vet on the team. I think he's a leader on the team. I do think that, especially with all the benefits, there's no negatives to keeping him. He's not young, but he's not old either. If you understand, like he's up.
Not for a safety. No, he's okay.
That's it.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I like I said, I think that's a crucial need. And I'd put Jaquiski Tartt at a C+ B- tier strong safety. And I'm not saying he's bad by any means. Like even on my podcast, I was talking about how people need to stop dissing Jaquiski Tartt because they're quick to bring up the Rams dropped interception. but quick not to bring up him chasing down Aaron Jones, which eventually stopped him from scoring a touchdown.
Yep.
Got us the blocked field goal and essentially helped us win that game against Green Bay.
Absolutely. No, you're right about that, man. You are spot on with that. I got to get to the next one, AJ.
Yes, sir.
AJ, great call. Keep doing your thing. I'm subscribed to your channel now.
Appreciate you.
But keep it up, man. And anytime
Yes,
you
sir.
need to, just hit me in the DM. All right.
Yeah, sir. God bless, man. Talk to you later.
All right, man. You too. All right. I'm gonna come to you, John. John, then Brooks, then my guy Lee, then Gammon. Gammon, good to see you calling in. I know you're coming over from Croc. ATL Bison, Rohan, and then Wheels Up Podcast. All right, let's do it. What's up, John?
Hey, Jay, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are you? Thanks for being patient, man.
No worries. I watched the whole show anyway.
All right, perfect. Thanks, man.
I'm calling from Mexico. I started watching Grant's show about September, October 2020. And then you came along, I started following you, and I love the work that you do. So since I see I'm on the clock here,
yeah.
But I want to say, I was watching the show earlier with Grant, and yeah, definitely Don G and Jimmy did a number on the 49ers. Good for them. I mean, they have to work within what they need rather than the team itself. So, sí, viva Mexico. So that got me thinking because, okay, so pretty much any trade for Jimmy is out the window now. Because as you said, that freed up money, which is the main motivation to first draft a young quarterback last year, even though it meant punting out 3 first-round draft picks and a third, was, well, okay, if we cannot get a quarterback playing that gets us to win a Super Bowl, okay, let's make it at least cheap. So we can build a juggernaut around a quarterback that doesn't blow it. Okay, so on that premise, well, those 25.5 millions coming along in May, let's say, because for a deal to get done and actually lose that cap space, well, Jimmy needs to pass a physical, and he's not going to be able to do that for at least 2 months. He haven't had the surgery yet. So maybe he's thinking, I'm going to have the surgery after spring break or something, you know? We don't know, right? So that got me thinking the Niners salary cap situation is even worse than the casual fans realize. And here's the thing. Right now, we're sitting on 23rd in cap space, which means that we are 4.4 millions, almost 4.5 millions over the cap. And if you go into effective cap space, we're actually 11.5 millions over it. I mean, those 7 millions, you can work around there. Like, okay, that means you need to have 51 guys in. You need to spend 11 more millions, but you can work that out until you really need 51 guys. So, okay, that's okay. Let's stick with the 4.4 millions. We got 28 free agents. And if we go under the premise that this is a Super Bowl contending roster, we'll need to get at least the key ones. And for me, the keys are Laken Tomlinson, DJ Jones, perhaps Raheem on a more team-friendly base incentive deal because he's the home run hitter. He's the one that can take a little bit of the running off Debo's back, which we definitely need. Definitely, we cannot screw that new toy up. And he's not that young either. And well, depending on how you feel about K1 Williams, that's 2.37 million and all. So on the one guys I believe key are those guys I just mentioned, plus Jaquaski Tart. So they made in 2021 15.3 millions. And let's say to get them here, let's call a 20% raise like within reason to get them to stay here. So that will mean 18.3 millions. Now, the cap is expected to raise for about 25 millions. So in theory, you might be able to do it even without Jimmy's cap hit out of here. But it's way, 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 way too narrow of a margin of error. Way too narrow. And what about the other 20 guys? Let's say they value and believe 15 of them are worth keeping to keep this Super Bowl bound roster. How are they going to do that? And here's the other thing. Out of the 28, there is one restricted free agent we got. We can get really, really, really screwed over. And that is Aziz Al-Shaair, who just made $590K. So since he's restricted, he can receive offers from other teams, but the Niners remain the right to match that offer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so let's say, just for the sake of it, the Seahawks have a ton of cap space, and they love taking up players. So let's say they go and say, let's offer Aziz $5 million so we can have the best couple of linebackers in the division. Let's offer him $5 or $6 million. Now the Niners need to spend $5 or $6 million to keep their guy.
Let me clear something up real quick, and I'm gonna let you finish because I think you're going in a really good place. But I want to clear this up with the Z's, because he is a restricted free agent and he's fulfilled at least 3 years in the league. They can put a tender on him, which means they can say, "We're gonna put a second round tender on you. So if you offer him the money and we don't match, you owe us a second round pick." So just I want to make sure that you understand that is a possibility as well. But go ahead.
Oh yes, true. You're right. You're completely right. But the thing is, wouldn't that be worth for the Seahawks just to make the Niners spend? You know?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe. But well, yeah. The thing is, you need money. You need money to keep a Super Bowl bound team. And right now, if the cap is to increase, like the NFL announced to teams back in December, well, Jimmy will represent again at 13-14% of the cap. So for a third round pick in the best case scenario, that is not worth it. It is not worth it. You can say, well, you get the money anyway, but yes, you'll get the money, but you're going to roll it back to 2023. And in 2023, those 25 millions are going to be worth less if they are used in 2022. So that will be dumb. And here's the other thing. This is the kicker, Jason. What about Bosa's extension? What about Deebo's extension? How are you going to get that done if you are first trying to keep your Super Bowl bound roster? How are you going to do it? I mean, 23 millions may get it done between the two of them, considering that you send the biggest cap hits into the back end of such contracts, let's say that. But how do you get it? Instead, if you do just release Jimmy, plus the expected increase in the cap space, that's 51.2 millions. You can get it done. You're really in the realm of possibilities here.
Yeah, listen, I think you laid out a great case. And the way that I look at it, John, is they're kind of playing a low-key game of chicken, right? Are they willing to keep Jimmy on this roster? Can they afford to do so? What are they giving up by doing so? And are other teams willing to let him get cut before making an offer? Or are they desperate enough for a quarterback where they're like, listen, I don't even want him to hit the open market. Jimmy's our guy. Let's go get him. I think it's a game of chicken right now, and we're going to find out the 16th. 16th is when that chicken ends. That's when the cars are about to collide. Which happens? Do the 49ers swerve out of the way? Or does a team like the Redskins or somebody else swerve out of the way? I'm curious to see what happens, and I think you laid out a big case as to why it is a true possibility they may have to cut Jimmy Garoppolo, man. That was a great call. I appreciate that.
They have to do it. They just have to do it. It makes no sense. I mean, they're just trying to save face here. They're trying to keep his trade value by saying, yeah, we might keep Jimmy another year. That is so false. They do not believe in him. And the proof is that Trey Lance is on this team.
Yep.
That's the proof. Come on.
Yep.
I mean, NFL teams are not stupid. If I can see it all the way from Mexico, all those 31 GMs knows this.
Yeah,
They get rid of
you're
him.
right. You're
They're
right.
selling
You
out.
might be right about this, man. That's crazy. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. That was a hell of a call, man. Thank you. I
Thank
have a
you.
good one. We'll talk next week, hopefully.
Hopefully.
All right, man. Later. All right, Brooks, I'm going to get to you. Brooks, then I'm going to go Lee, then Gammon, ATL Bison, Rohan, and then Wheels Up Podcasts. Let's do it. What's up, Brooks?
Yo, what's going on, man?
Hey, is
Before I
that you playing the guitar in your avatar?
yeah, that's me.
That's awesome, man. You look like you're getting down there. That's dope. What's on your mind, man?
Appreciate it. Before I start, the last caller, man, fire Parag and hire him because he's way better than Parag, the quote unquote cap master.
Hey, man, he had his stuff together, man. He was in on it for sure. He came prepared. I had to let him get off his take.
Yeah, that was great. I appreciate him because everything he said, I felt the exact same way, even down to the
Yeah.
fact of everyone can see it from a mile away, even from Mexico, that we're getting rid of Jimmy. We have to get rid of Jimmy. I remember my comment from Grant's show where I was like, the 49ers failed pump and dump with the Jimmy coin.
Yeah,
And
yeah, you were right. You were right about that for sure.
yeah, it's just ridiculous. And then the fact that I feel as though they say for teams, you're not supposed to read your own press clippings. And I feel like they read the press clippings of Jimmy, like they were listening to some of the whack guys that be like, oh, but he's a winner and stuff. It's like, no, he's just present when we win. He's just like, I remember games like when we went to Washington and we won by field goals. I remember games where, yes, we beat the Saints, but it's because George Kittle made like a Superman play and got a face mask. But prior to that, we were almost getting smoked till Emmanuel Sanders threw the touchdown. Like Kyle had to get in his bag with the playbook, even though Jimmy looked good. Like I can't name one Jimmy game where it was like, oh my God. Like even Mitchell Trubisky has a game where he threw 6 touchdowns.
That's wild. Well, people will point to the Saints game, but I want to throw this out there. People also forget. Obviously, we know that he hit Kittle on a quick little out, and Kittle did the rest. But he underthrew Emmanuel Sanders by a mile. Emmanuel Sanders caught the ball, was so far ahead of everybody else that he was still able to get back up off the ground and run it in for a touchdown. That's how open he was. Emmanuel Sanders also threw for a touchdown in that game. So people forget about kind of how that game went down. They just remember, oh, he was in the Superdome and went head to head with Drew Brees and they put up 30 plus points. Like, well, it's a little bit of revisionist history. But he I'll give him credit. That was a hell of a game. But the Arizona games is really where he stood out. But even those were against the worst pass defense in the NFL.
And then it wasn't like the good Arizona. Like if he did that to this year's Arizona early on, maybe. But he was hurt. My bad.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right about that.
But that's like the story of Jimmy, always hurt, and the field strengths when he's when we plays, like everything, all you're protecting is anything inside the numbers, nothing past the sticks, and teams called on. And it's like I said, it feels like the Niners believe their own press clippings and figure like, oh, we can pump Jimmy. But it's like, but you already traded away the entire, I guess, near future for a guy because and then you've been trying to replace him for the past 3 years. Like we didn't forget about the Brady interviews. We're still sticking with this guy, quote, or this MFer, or how many times you've been going after Rodgers, or you've been trying to replace this guy. Like we seen this. And even like the fans be getting on my nerves. Like I'm a diehard Niners fan. Like since I was a kid, I was born 88. My cousin is Merton Hanks, so I used to wear the turtleneck and all that.
That's dope, man. Merton Hanks was that deal, man.
Yeah, I tell everybody my 2 favorite Niners. Second is Dion, because everybody want to be like Primetime, so she was playing Little League. But first was always my cousin. Anytime I got some type of turnover, I was doing the little neck thing. I'm glad I don't have his neck though.
Yeah, bro, that thing was out of control. That chicken dance was the best, man.
Yes.
Merton Hanks was that deal. I love Merton Hanks. He's an all-time favorite of mine.
Yes, but and it's just like, I wish more fans would get behind Trey, because how many times do you get a chance to be in this position where The league is about to be on a reset on quarterbacks. We have a guy that's, picked within the top 5. We gave him so much. He has all this talent. Like, it's rare that you get in these, positions, because now you have to deal with guys like Trevor Lawrence once he gets going, Justin Fields when he starts to get going. Oh, Justin Herbert's still around. Joe Burrow just showed you what he can possibly do. And you don't want to be the last person to get some type of good quarterback, and then you still have to wait from developing. God forbid the next quarterback is another Brady, and they stick around for 20 years. They prevent you from getting Super Bowls.
Yeah, that's God, dude. Don't even. The good news is right now, at least the prime, like real young quarterbacks seem to be in the AFC, right? Like you got Josh Allen over there, Patrick Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert. So for now, Lawrence is obviously over there. For now, they got some things in their favor. How long that lasts, I don't know. Like we'll see. Like,
but that's the perfect time for us to get Trey ready now.
Yes,
at least get him ahead of the ball, because other teams like Russell Wilson ain't gonna be in Seattle for much longer, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then you look across the other leagues, like think about for the NFC least, their best quarterback is Dak, and there's still questions with Dak.
No,
like I
you're
would
right.
like to say, oh, every year we can make the NFC Championship, and we got to face Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones meddling ways and stuff. I've marked that dub, and I hope it's in Dallas.
Hey, I'm with it, man. I'm definitely with it. I'm all for it. Hey, man, I got to get on to the next one. I appreciate the call. That was a great call. Call in next week if you can, and tell Merton what's up from the 49er faithful. We all love him.
Bet that. Have a good one, man.
All right, man. Bet. Okay. Real quick. This is a great comment. Ruben says, facts. In the NFL history, there has never been a QB who made it to the NFC or AFC championship game and didn't start the next season. Are you saying for that team or just in general? Kyle's going to start Jimmy again, says the statistics. Is that true though? Did Dilfer start the next year for the Ravens? I gotta imagine that you put in the homework on this, so I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just trying to think through it on the fly. Dilfer's the first one that comes up, and I have questions about. But you could be right on this one. That's a crazy stat if true. Jimmy's gonna break the mold, so looking forward to that. All right, Lee, your turn. Then Gammon, then ATL Bison, Rohan, and then Wheels Up Podcasts. What's up, Lee?
Yo, what's up, JC? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Yeah, man, I'm real good. I just want to touch on a couple of things. I heard the other day, you brought up, I think, on Twitter, the Tyrann Mathieu situation.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get to hear?
It's like we got messed up. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm just gonna refresh real quick. Oh wait, are we back? We good, guys? Are we back? No, the internet's fine, man. I'm telling you, I run 500 over 500. It's StreamYard. It's terrible. Am I back though? We good?
You good?
I don't know. I think we're good. Okay. I'm gonna give you your time back. That was funny. I just disappeared off the screen, I think. I could hear you and you could hear me. That was interesting. But anyway, so we were talking about Tyrann Mathieu. You were saying at first you were against it, and then go ahead.
Yeah, I was just hesitant because I remember a few years ago, I wanted him and Kyle Fuller too when he hit the free agency, and I felt like those were perfect times to get them just because of their age and because of what we would have got him for. Like when he was leaving Arizona, like it was a bargain deal what the Texans paid for him, and I felt like, man, a guy like that on our team would be crazy. I've been a huge fan of him. He's one of my favorite players, you see, ever since he was at LSU. It's a big reason why I'm an LSU fan, and the guy's just got crazy instincts. He's so versatile, you know. He can play him at the line of scrimmage, you know. He played nickel, he can play free safety, he can play strong safety. He does it all, you know. He's a Swiss Army knife, a bit like a Derwin James, but a bit different. He would have been crazy in our team, you know, in that 2019 run and years like that. And the thing is, you're right. I feel like if you can get him, he's going to cost a bit of money. I think you go out and get him. And people talk about Tart, right? The thing is with Tart, like he's plug and play in his production and its value, right? Because you're not going to have to pay him much. You know, you paid him what, 1.1 million. So I can see why a lot of people are like, oh, you just bring him back. But if you feel like you can win and you want to compete, you know, you upgrade your team. And if we have a chance of getting a guy like him, you bring him in, just like people want, say, Von Miller. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he'll run it back with the Rams, you know. But yeah, if you have an opportunity to get a guy like Honey Badger, I think you go out and get him. He had a good year last year too. Jesse, you know, the team named him the MVP of the team, you know, that Derek Thomas Award. He got it in 2019 and he got it again this year. So that shows you how valuable he was. You know, we've seen it in the Super Bowl. So, yeah, if we could get him, I don't know if we will get him, but, yeah, you can't say no to it, you know, even though he is a couple years older and you're going to have to spend the money.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all for Honey Badger. And I also, again, I think between him and Jimmy Ward, they can play nickel corner on those third downs, right? You can go one safety over the top and rotate them through and let them play nickel. I'm not saying you want to do it all the time, but it is an option, right? Like if somebody goes down in a game, they have that versatility that either one of them can play either safety spot. They can play nickel corner in a pinch. I'm all for it. Somebody said that someone said that Jimmy closed his eyes and boom, lights went out on the show. Actually, this is more like the Ravens Super Bowl when the lights went out right after halftime. See, we're gonna rally though. Like we're gonna rally, and instead of not getting a touchdown at the end, we're gonna finish strong. So that's the way that we're doing it here. But that's what happened here on Last Second Sports. It was like the lights went out in the dome, and we're trying to recover. So, but yeah, man, Honey Badger is it for me. If I'm looking at it, I'm certainly not spending that kind of money on a 32-year-old corner and Gilly Lock. I'm just not doing it. Honey Badger's younger. He might be a little bit more expensive, but much like Jimmy Ward, safeties can play until they're 35 years old and be successful. Like we've seen that a million times over in the NFL. As long as they take care of their body, they're not dingbats and do something stupid like Thomas did with Seattle, they'll be fine, right? So I'm willing to pay him 4 years, give him a 4-year deal, and keep him and Jimmy Ward together. I think it would be a fantastic duo.
Yeah, and just touching on a few other things. What do you think about the other corner from Carolina that was LSU as well, Dante Jackson, if we can't get like a Honey Badger?
Oh, now Dante Jackson is speed. That guy has speed out the wazoo. I got to be honest. I know who he is. I have seen him play. I know he's super fast. I remember him coming out of college. I haven't watched him a lot though in the NFL. Is he playing inside? Is he playing outside? And what type of corner is he? A man corner, a zone corner? Like, have you put eyes on him? Do you know?
I haven't been watching him recently, but he's played both outside and nickel, going right back to when he was in college.
Okay.
I don't watch a lot of the Carolina Panthers, but yeah, he can play both. I remember they were playing him a lot outside when he first came, but he played it at LSU as well, nickel corner. It's just like looking too. I think you get him on a cheap deal. You know, I'd have to go back and see like how well he's performed these last couple of years and why Carolina are willing to let him go. But I know they had a load of cornerbacks, right? They got Gilmore, they got CJ Henderson over there too, and they drafted JC Horn. But yeah, I think it'd be another option if you couldn't get Honey Badger, but I think Honey Badger would be the way to go if you had the opportunity to get him. Did you hear talking about the Jimmy G situation? I liked what John Lynch had said, you know, come out and sort of supported him and sort of said, you know, we want to move forward with Trey because there's been a lot of stuff in the media, right? Jesse, with the whole, you know, with going back to Montana and people sort of making a lot of, you know, opinions about it, but not really knowing what's going on inside, you know. And I feel like they do know what's going on and they do see it, you know, every day. So like it was good, I thought, that he came out and sort of clarified what the direction is.
Yeah, I definitely agree with it. Now, in the very end, he did throw in, well, Jimmy could be back. that's just him covering his bases. We all know that Jimmy G is gone. We know that Trey Lance is going to be the guy. And I just can't wait for it to finally be done. It's going to be interesting because everybody's going to be keeping an eye on Jimmy G next year and watching how he plays. It's still going to be a talk. There's going to be those comparisons, at least for the next year or so. One side's going to feel like they're right, and it'll be fun to watch. But yeah, man, it's nice to see. Nice to see and hear from John Lynch. Would have been nice to see and hear from Kyle Shanahan. But right now, it's good to hear that Trey Lance is certainly the guy in the future. They feel happy with where he's at. Whether it's fluff or not, like it's just good to hear. So
Yeah, and a lot of the fan base is just really waiting, I think, for that sort of trade or that move from Jimmy to happen. It's really interesting too with how the value of what people see Jimmy's worth, right? Like some people were saying as a first, second. I thought it felt like he was really worth a third round, but with the sort of strength of the quarterback draft, I thought it moved to a second. But like now it's sort of, yeah, it's a big question mark what you're going to get from him. I do feel I agree. Washington football team is the perfect situation for him. I felt like them or the Steelers, but I feel like them more so because, with what you see, like you look at a Ben Roethlisberger offense is a lot different to what they'd have to do with Jimmy G. And I feel like with the Washington football team, they took a punt on a guy like Dwayne Haskins a couple of years ago, and they rushed him into that situation, and he didn't do well at all. So with the ability to get like a guy like Jimmy G, they can compete, they can become playoff contention again if the team plays well, and they have that ability to take it a rookie even. Say they do want to get a quarterback, but they have the ability to sit back and let him develop and take his time and not rush him if they get a guy like Jimmy G. So that's why I feel like it's a good fit, especially a guy like Malik Willis, right? Jesse, he has high potential, but a lot of people say he has the lowest floor of the quarterbacks in this class.
yeah, Malik Willis is he's an interesting prospect for sure. I'm curious to see how his career plays out. But I'm with you, man. I definitely think that Washington is the perfect fit. Curious to see what happens. As John said in his call, and it kind of just hit me as he was talking. Like, yeah, they're playing a game of chicken. Like, let's see who's gonna swerve first. And I'm curious to see March 16th, man. It's coming up. We're a couple weeks away, and I'm excited.
Well, no worries, man. Thank you for the platform once again. Shout out to you and everything you do, and shout out to all the callers tonight. Thanks, Jesse.
All right, Lee. Appreciate you. All right, Gammon. This is a familiar face. You're always on Croc Show. You and I got to talk a little bit the other day when I was on his show. So good to see that you came over here. What's going on, man? How are you?
Not too much. I don't know how you do it, Jesse. You are like an Iron Man. I would be just burnt out, man. This is thank you. Pretty incredible that you share your platform with all of us. It's really amazing. One of the things I wanted to say is it's so hard to have proper perception on your own team, especially when you are a fan, right? And that's what a lot of us fans are doing right now when we're kind of calling into you because we know that you dig in the weeds and you have a really good ability of just kind of really digging, researching, and just finding all kinds of stuff where I'm like, man, that's incredible. That's why I don't have my own YouTube show because I can't do stuff like that. But one of the things I did want to tell, kind of express to my fellow fans is that as hard as it may be to believe, Jimmy G does have a market. Now, it's not the same market as, DeForest Buckner or anything like that. But everybody here in this chat could say, if I asked you a question, what's the most valuable position on a football team? What would be the response? Would be the quarterback. And the other thing too is that whatever team Jimmy Garoppolo goes to, that team is gonna want him to restructure his contract. Now, I've been really trying to go over a lot of different sites and analytics and what they basically think that Jimmy Garoppolo would get with a restructured contract, and it's somewhere around 19 to 22 million a year, and that's pretty good when you look at it. Jesse, I'm really thinking when I started to look at all the teams: Dolphins, Jaguars, right? Browns, Bears, Eagles, Panthers, Chiefs. So I went through all the teams and I just said to myself, okay, there are maybe 16 quarterbacks right now with all those teams that can win consistently right now.
I agree with that game. And I want to throw this out because I did say that when I was talking a couple people ago, and I'm sure you heard it, but that's like the reality of the league, right? I think a lot of people look at it and go, oh, well, Jimmy's a bottom tier starter in the league. Even if that's the case, he's still a starter in this league right now. And starters are not actually as easy to come by as what a lot of people want to think that they are. So I'm with you on that. Keep going.
And the other thing too is looking at it, right, hey, would everybody, how many more wins do you think we'd have if we had someone like Kirk Cousins versus Jimmy Garoppolo? I think that they're a lot closer than people give them credit. I think that Kirk Cousins shrinks. He does not deal with contact well at all. Jimmy G deals well with contact, but when he leaves the pocket, people are always scared. Like whenever I see him take back and throw, I'm scared he's going to throw an interception. No, it's when he leaves the pocket trying to mimic what he sees Trey Lance doing. That's when I really hold my breath. But think about this: Jimmy Garoppolo, we lament over his $26 million cap hit next year. Kirk Cousins' cap hit is $45 million, right? If you're a Falcons fan, you've got Matty Ice making $46 million, Aaron Rodgers $46 million, right? And then you have Carson Wentz. That guy is making more than Jimmy Garoppolo, and if you really got to split the hairs on these guys, it's pretty tough. And I can see why some people are bringing up, if we're going to look at the teams that are kind of have questions for whatever reason at the quarterback position, let's list them off, right? Browns, Lions, Steelers, Broncos, Panthers, Eagles, Dolphins, Giants, Saints, Washington, and then Colts, right? And I want to go real quick because I know you want to get off there. But let's look at Jimmy Garoppolo's stats, right? 66% throwing, 4,300 yards, 8.5 yards per attempt, 22 passing touchdowns, 15 interceptions, right? 3 rushing touchdowns, 8 fumbles. Well, let's go to some people that he's probably being compared to. Ryan Tannehill, right? A 10-year starter. He's been in the league longer than Jimmy Garoppolo. Less yards throwing, less yards per attempt, lower throwing percentage, less or the same
Hold
amount.
on, real quick. How many yards did you say?
So 40. I think that might have been the wrong year. 4,345.
No. He was way lower than that. Keep going. I think the rest of it was right though. The rest of it was right. I want to say he had like 14 total turnovers or whatever it was, 23 total touchdowns. I think the rest of it's right. There's no way he had that many passing yards. Hold on a second. Hold on. I got to know for myself.
I might have been off on that one, but I'll kind of
38-10. 38-10.
Okay. You look at everything kind of going down statistically. The numbers were pretty comparable with him and Mac Jones. Baker Mayfield, he outperformed Baker Mayfield. And then you're looking at Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, I got it. Like we're talking about gifts, right? We're talking about quarterbacks who have more gifts than Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, that's the issue, I think, when you have a Jalen Hurts, when you have a Carson Wentz. They have these gifts, but they don't have the ability to understand their own limitations within a play. And that can be really hard for an offensive coordinator to game plan for. With Jimmy Garoppolo, everyone knows his limitations. He does. And a lot of people say Kyle Shanahan got outcoached by DeMeco Ryans, and I would agree, but I don't think it was as bad as people say. If you go look at a PFF and you look at the throw chart that Jimmy Garoppolo did, right? And if you were to picture a line of scrimmage, how far out he threw it, right? And then you just kind of drew a little hot circle. It's probably exactly where your mental picture is. And then the next place was a couple yards off the line of scrimmage. And to consistently and how Kyle Shanahan, didn't lose, his hair or health or anything like that. He does look noticeably older. And still, with the defense, offense, everyone knows where he's throwing to the ball, these two places, and still figure out how to get that done is remarkable. I know that Jimmy Garoppolo, his shoulder injury, he's not going to be able to, he's never a big time arm thrower. The shoulder injuries with Alex Smith, not a big deal when you're a game manager. That he's not a gunslinger that keeps getting thrown around, but he's there to make quick, short, accurate passes and really kind of get that done. And then I'm just going to leave this, say this last little bit. and then I'll get off here. And I really appreciate your time. But I want to go over just real quick some of these quarterbacks that other teams have, just again to give us perspective. You know, we're not pressured. We're not going to just release Jimmy Garoppolo. We can actually hold on to him because we actually have a really great quarterback. And if you look at the numbers, Trey Lance did. I mean, damn, he really earned the third overall spot. But look at the Saints. The Saints are a mess. Who do they have? Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, Trevor Siemian. That's not, anything that makes me really happy.
Winston's a free agent too, so they don't even have him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then the Panthers with Cam Newton. Look at his stats that he threw. I mean, I got it. He's
been washed.
Yeah, I mean, his look at his stats from last year. Is that somebody that you really want? Sam Darnold again for the Panthers. I think the Panthers are one of my dark horses for Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think it's going to happen. But the other thing we have to look at too is cap money. Who are the teams that actually have cap money available to spend? It's the Panthers. It's not the Saints. The Saints are way over. They can't make it happen. But I think the Saints would have been a good fit for him. But cap wise, it won't work. But you look at the Steelers. They have the cap money. Mason Rudolph, Ben Roethlisberger, Dwayne Haskins. I mean, come on. Texans with Tyrod Taylor. So and you just kind of just going through these teams, start digging up their actual quarterback room, and you realize that the 49ers, there's some merit to what they're saying. They're not the ones operating out of desperation, but a lot of these other teams literally have to start 2-3 different quarterbacks. And when you realize that there was over 60 starting quarterbacks this season, and then you say where you think Jimmy Garoppolo is in that 60, folks, he's worth with a renegotiated contract, which will happen if he gets traded. He's worth a couple mid-round picks. I would definitely say a couple third-round picks and some lower level. Nothing great, nothing Buckner related. But again, folks, I would just urge you to look at what the other teams have at their signal caller position. And somebody's like, well, if you're desperate, you don't want Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, you're in a situation that's a pretty bad situation. And sad to say, but you look at these other teams' rosters and this draft, that might be the best that they can do. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Hey, listen, Gammon, first of all, appreciate you calling in, man. Good to see you over here. I love that you came in with a different take, and I know that you like to hop off and listen on the other end, but I like that you came in with a different take. I disagree with you. But not on every premise. I agree with the premise that you came up with. I hope that you're right, man. I really do. For me, the one part is the injury. Injury is got to be factored in, and the fact that you do have to extend him. And would you rather look for a bridge quarterback? Some of those teams that are bad, a couple of them, I like your dark horse with the Panthers, because again, another coach that's on a hot seat. Him. You got Riverboat Ron over in Washington. Those teams make a lot of sense. But then you got teams like Pittsburgh, who certainly need one. You've got a first-year coach with New Orleans. He's not on the hot seat. So I could see them being a little bit more patient. But again, good thought. I like that you came in with something a little bit different. Appreciate you. I'm going to go to ATL Bison. I don't know if he's just a Trey Lance fan, if he's an NDSU fan. That's where he gets the Bison from. Let's see. What's up, man?
How's it going, brother?
It's going really good. How are you?
I am good. Yes, and yes. As far as your
all
questions.
the above. Okay. All right.
Originally from Fargo Media, but I left about 10 years ago. But still have all the contacts. I have the background. I have the knowledge regarding Trey, Easton Stick, Carson Wentz.
Love it. Let's go.
Dude, I just need to say right off the top, and it's nothing against the Bay or national media or anything, but they subscribed to a completely wrong narrative when it came to Trey Lance. That's just a fact.
Real quick, hold on before you get there, because I'm already in. You've sucked me into this call.
Oh, I know you are. That's the only reason why I called you, is because you're the only one who I've seen that has the correct take, and I just wanted to.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, good. Okay, I didn't know how familiar. I didn't know how familiar you were with me, if you'd ever seen me or or
little bit.
what I'd said pre-draft and what I've said about Trey since. But if you've seen all that and heard all that, then you know my stance. I wanted to see how spot on I was or wasn't.
Oh, you're dead on. First and foremost, I'm the guy who keeps saying there was a conversation and my buddy was in it, and I'm not going to say who the buddy was because I'm not throwing him under the bus. At NDSU with Matt Entz, Randy Hedberg, Kyle Shanahan, and your boy John Lynch. In addition, and this was a conversation that happened before they went up into the stands and talked to Lance's parents for a second. Then they had the back and forth about Shanahan being Wentz's dad's ball boy. But the fact of the matter is that everybody's been saying that he's not ready. Yeah, that's our thing. We redshirt guys. That's what we do. And specifically, Randy Hedberg was like, Carson needed to be sat. He needed to be sat for a year. He needed to get everything down. Then look what he did year 2. Now, granted, say what you want about the man. I love the kid to death. He hasn't been the same since he got hurt. He tries to do too many things at the end of the football games and throws crazy. He thinks he's Superman and he's not. And that's the problem. That's always been his complex, but I love him. But Trey Lance is everything you could honestly want in a quarterback. So for all the people that are freaking out there right now, I can tell you right now, please put your mind at ease, because the kid's the truth. I mean, if you wanted to build the perfect quarterback, and I know I'm really biased about this, but I'm also on the same level of, being honest. If you were going to forge a kid like this, I mean, he's everything you want. He's got he wants the medal. That's what he wants, the records and the medal. And if you think for a second that Tom Brady had a chip on his shoulder, he went to Michigan, man. Like, this is the kid who got rejected by everyone. And then at the last second, Boise State comes, running along, throws him a quarterback thing. But he'd already recruited 20 other players for the NDSU roster at that point in time. So he wasn't going to bail on them. I don't know if you knew this or not, but
I didn't know. This is fantastic. This is some insider info that I had never heard. I love this.
Okay. So here's why you're all right, and I can explain it, and then I can give you quickly also justification, meaning like I'll put my word on the line, and if I'm wrong, then don't take anything that I said with a grain of truth. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So,
yeah, I love it. Okay, let's go.
Yep. Okay. So number one, regarding Lance and the situation and all that stuff, it's kind of hard to explain, but basically, we redshirt, he sits, he learns, he dominates. That's kind of the way that we have done it. That's why we're, knocking out quarterbacks left and right. We'll probably put out a fourth year in a couple of, years. But with Trey Lance, he's dialed in on everything. He's always being a student of the game. He's been taught X's and O's since he was 9 years old. He gave up an academic scholarship to Brown, an academic, not an athletic scholarship. So he has all the intangibles, right? He was also raised right, morals, values, treating people correctly. But I mean, look at everything he's had against him already here in San Francisco. And it's nothing against the fan base, because I'm a Vikings fan. I would give anything myself to be able to get a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers. Like 95% of the fan base was there for a while at the first, lead up the first month after, a couple of weeks here after the Super Bowl, when those names were flying around. So he's had to overcome, that, and then the Jimmy thing back and forth. Jimmy was he was going to be traded all along. I mean, it was Jimmy 21, Lance 22. Things might have changed in the middle there. I have no idea. I'm not in the organization by any means, but that's all along what they were kind of told, was that was the situation with Trey. So
let me ask you this.
Yep.
So one thing I do know about NDSU and why they are successful with redshirting quarterbacks is because when they do their offensive installs, they actually let those guys that are redshirted, they run through the installs. So every week they're preparing as if they're the starter, even though they are not, which is unique to NDSU. That is something only they do. And that's why they're able to churn out these quarterbacks. It's a big reason, in my opinion. That you couple that with the fact that they play a more pro style offense under center.
Exactly.
They put a lot on their quarterback shoulder as far as calling out mics and protections and audibles, everything, right? So
yeah, we're in
they
motion
were
almost every single play. Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, they're very, very prepared. This was a big reason that I love Trey Lance. But you talked about redshirting. Now, obviously, it worked in college. Unlike Wentz, his last year, he really only got the one game in. And so for me, not that I had a concern. I think Trey's going to be great, and that's going to show through no matter what. But I was big on him starting for San Francisco. Like I liked
Oh, yep.
Okay, so week 1,
I
you
remember.
think if
No,
they
no,
had
no.
turned the
I'm just
keys over?
saying.
Okay,
I'm saying that I remember that was your take on it. I had forgotten it to that point because when
yes,
you're
okay,
going
okay,
back and forth and covering, trying to see what all the analysts of the 49ers are saying,
yeah,
I can't remember whose take, but when you said that, I was like, oh, light bulb, click, yes.
yeah. There we go.
So
Okay,
yeah,
so
so I
yeah, go
do
ahead.
prefer sitting for a year. I
Okay,
know that's
that's
crazy.
fair.
Now that's
It's
not
not
to say
crazy. It's
that
not
he
crazy.
couldn't have. He couldn't.
Okay.
He absolutely could have. He definitely could have. He would have went through stumbles and falls and stuff. He's a young kid, obviously. But I'm telling you right now, September, this kid is going to explode. I was there on August 31st, 2019, Target Field, 5 touchdowns versus Butler. He was almost immaculate, and it never let up, and it won't. So all these people that are like, oh, I didn't see that stuff from Trey Lance in training camp in regards to the same stuff with Pat Mahomes, and I know that you know exactly what I'm talking about right now.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, there are 100 of those videos out there right now, somewhere, whatever. But a lot of the reason why they're holding on to that stuff, and a lot of the reason, in my opinion, that the organization's not backing Trey to this point is 100% about the Jimmy Garoppolo trade and getting the best trade value possible from him. And I think that your buddy on there regarding the pump and dump and the whatever was correct. Yeah, that I think that they're gonna throw it at the wall right now and hope that something sticks. I don't know. I don't know enough about your guys' team. I just know a lot about Trey. So, and my time's up, so I didn't want to take anybody
That's
else.
no, dude. That was a great freaking call, man. Thank you for calling in. Very clear that you definitely know the Bison. I mean, the guy's name is ATL Bison. Like I knew
And
it
I
right
played
away.
for him, so there's that.
Oh, did you really? Okay.
I was
What years did you play for him?
back in the day. I was a lineman.
Nice, man. Nice.
Yeah, I played back with Phil Hansen. If you have any idea who that is, but
No idea. Wait,
lineman
hold
from
on,
the
Phil.
Bills. Lineman.
I was
from the
just gonna
Bills.
say. I was just
Yep.
gonna ask you, lineman.
Defensive
Yes,
lineman.
I do
He
know
played
who
with
that
Bruce.
is.
He
Yes,
played with Bruce Smith. Yep.
yes, I do know who it is. As soon as I said I have no idea, it hit me. Yes,
So I
absolutely.
aged
That's
myself.
crazy.
Yes, early '90s, but I've been a Bison fan since like early '80s. But yeah, I'll let you go. Thank you. I'll hang up. Feel free to hit me up with any questions, or we can go back and forth anything. But this was great talking to you. And
Do you have Twitter by chance?
I do. I am not on right now. I'll search you out on a new on my account.
Yeah, either
As
search
in, like,
me
I
out.
gotta remember the username and password to it. So.
Gotcha. Either do that or email me or something, man. I'd love to pick your brain on some things. That's really cool. That was a great call.
Absolutely, and all day long, I'm happy to talk about Trey Lance. Oh, by the way, I told you
Yeah.
that I was going to give you something regarding making sure that my word was good and promising you that
Yeah,
Trey is
yeah.
going to kill it for you.
Mhm.
Tomorrow, when are the 40s for the combine? Anybody know? Do you know?
Usually it's like Friday. I think.
Okay,
I think
so
I could be wrong.
not tomorrow, then Friday. When Christian Watson runs his 40, all the experts are saying that he's going to run it like a 4.44. He's going to
Mhm.
run at a 4.35 or sub. I guarantee you that, and it's going to blow up. And all of a sudden, everybody's going to go, wait a minute. So what you're telling me is that QB1 and WR1 from 2019 with the undefeated season, that was not playing in Baton Rouge.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know
I
if you
love
understand
this.
where I'm going with that.
Yes, absolutely.
But
I
what I'm
love
trying
that.
to tell you is everybody in Fargo is angling for this boy for you. I know it doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense because I know that you have other needs. You need DB, you need offensive linemen, whatever, what have you. I'm hoping that you can get some sort of trade bait for Jimmy and you can go after like a DB and then draft my boy Watson. And then while you're at it, we've got a boy named Cordell Volson that you definitely need to check out that dominated the Shrine game. He is a versatile offensive lineman. He's one of the gems out there. Again, I am biased, but he plays guard. He plays tackle on both sides. Look him up. I promise you, he was an animal at the Shrine game. He's going to be at the combine.
Hell of a call. Hey, if he runs 4.35 or anything close to that,
Yep.
golly, man, he may not last until they pick at 60.
Oh, no, definitely not. We're
Yeah.
projecting him probably around 30, 35.
Holy,
so
that's crazy.
We'll see, but then you'll know if my word is good or not. On Friday, I'm saying 4.35 or better. That's what his dad, grandma, and brother said. So.
Okay. That's a great call, man. I love it. That's dope.
All right. Have a good one,
All
man.
right. You too, man. Later. Hey. Hey. That dude runs a 4.35. Yeah, he's not lasting until the 49ers pick. But geez, that call kind of blew my mind. What's up, Rohan?
Hey, what's up, Jesse? How are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you? Oh, you muted yourself.
Muted, but I'm definitely doing good. I'm excited, definitely. And if Watson runs a 4.35, I'm going to be blown too. But I don't know how you stand talking 2 hours about Jimmy Garoppolo. But real quick, on the Garoppolo thing, I know someone earlier just gave up a different perspective, and I just wanted to quickly point out one thing, just a little personal belief. And I know a lot of people now are worried after the surgery news came out. But for me, I feel like you might resonate with this, but when we see Jimmy Garoppolo play, regardless of injury, as long as he's on the field, it seems like he's putting out the same product. Like in week 18 against the Rams, when you saw him, you had no clue that he was playing with a torn UCL. He was making solid throws, but he was also making the regular Jimmy Garoppolo head scratchers that you're like, please don't do that. And yeah, sure, the shoulder injury. I know David Lombardi tweeted out like the shoulder injury stats from the Dallas game, but regardless, I think of the shoulder injury, I feel like Jimmy Garoppolo is one of the more known quantities at quarterback. He has been for the last couple of years, and that's kind of why I feel like teams are going to be a little less hesitant because of the injury to trade for him. I don't think that this is necessarily the thing that knacks his trade value, more so his cap hit, of course. And so I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I think that's a great take. It's funny because I tweeted out, was it like 2 nights ago? I said, there was a distinct difference in Jimmy Garoppolo and who he was before the shoulder injury and who he was after. Before the shoulder injury, he was a mediocre quarterback who was bad in the playoffs. And after the shoulder injury, he was a mediocre quarterback who was bad in the playoffs. Like, you're right. I didn't see a difference in Jimmy Garoppolo. He is the same guy. And yeah, I'm sure he was dealing with something. One thing I will say about Jimmy, and I'm going to give him credit in 2 areas. One, tough as hell to gut it out the way he did. Regardless of how serious we think the injury was or wasn't, the thumb and the shoulder, tough as nails. I think that was ballsy of him to do what he did. Also, short memory. The guy, not one time, has ever given into social media. He seems to be able to shut all that stuff out, and he just goes out there, does his thing. He throws a pick. He's the same guy immediately after. It's like it never happened. So have to give him credit for those things. But yeah, you're right. I mean, these injuries really shouldn't have changed much. For me, I had him slated as a 4th round pick. That would be the trade, or a future, or a 4th that could escalate up to a 3rd if they wanted to do a future pick. That's what I had all along. Now that we're starting to see the dust settle, I feel really, really good about that prediction from a month ago. But we'll see.
Yeah, I was a little more optimistic. I think my original prediction was a 3rd conditional that could bump up to a 2nd. And looking at it, I think the teams that are going to trade for him, I think it's kind of shaping out in a way. And I know that Schefter said there is significant interest. And when you look at a team like the Washington football team, a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm not necessarily looking at their hole at quarterback, but I'm also looking at what's the team around them. Because can you compete with that roster if you have at least an average NFL quarterback running that offense? And you can throw the Carolina Panthers in there. And I believe you can to an extent, or at least you can sell it to ownership that you can, which is why I feel like those 3 teams could be strong in the Jimmy market. I don't necessarily think Tampa Bay is going to get on it. I don't necessarily think Indianapolis is going to get on it. I don't necessarily think the Eagles are going to get on it. But Steelers, Washington, or I guess they're called the Commanders now, Washington Commanders and the Panthers. I feel like those three teams have strong bases outside where it could be the best transition for a guy like Garoppolo, because guess what? He's not going to do well in a quarter or an offense that requires a lot from the quarterback. He needs a quarterback-friendly offense. And when you look at it last year, the quarterbacks in those respective teams didn't necessarily play well. So when you come in with Garoppolo, I don't think that the quarterback position is going to be required to do a lot in those three teams. They have strong running backs in all three areas. And that's why I think those are the ideal destinations for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. Pittsburgh to me, like the roster wise fits. The issue I have with Pittsburgh is that I think that they are a franchise that doesn't have to win this year. That's one. I could see them drafting a rookie quarterback and needing a bridge guy, and they probably don't want to spend picks on that bridge guy. And I think that they're a smart franchise. And so knowing those things, that they would be totally okay with a Mitchell Trubisky type player, right? To be the bridge guy.
Right.
So that's kind of where my thought is. At first, I was like, oh, yeah, Pittsburgh's perfect. But the more I think about it, I fall more and more out of love of him going to Pittsburgh. But Washington is the one team that I really, really think like that's the perfect fit. That's where I ultimately think that he goes. But we'll see. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And real quick, with the 10 seconds left, I did see someone put it in the chat, and I wanted to bring it up because my one call out after the North Dakota State fan one call out about Christian Watson. One thing that I've heard about a guy I'm fairly high on is Tariq Woolen, 6'4", 210, 205 corner out of UTSA. He's projected to run around 4.3, but I do have information that he is blazing. He might run in the 4.2s at the combine. With that size and that athleticism, he's a freak athlete. Great cornerback prospect to watch out for.
Ooh, man, anybody running a 4.2 at that size? Jeez. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. We're getting nuggets dropped left and right here on Last Second Sports. Let's not forget that Last Second Sports was the first place a day before the national media got a hold of it, the night before, actually, where we heard that Trey Lance was going to have a second pro day specifically for the 49ers. It was dropped right here on the show, and then it ended up coming true. So, once again,
Last Second Sports then. But
that's it, man. Breaking news. It's not coming from me, but it's coming from the people that I talk to. So
definitely.
All right, man.
But yeah, thank you for having me on. Always
All right,
have a pleasure for your platform, and I'll see you next time, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. All right, Holden, man, I'm not going to be able to get to you tonight. I appreciate you calling in, but I want to stop you before we get there. I got one guy left. I promised I would get to him, but I've been going for almost 3 hours, almost 1 a.m. So I'm not going to get to you. But if you guys are still hanging around before we get to this last call, 143 of you are watching. Make sure to tap in, subscribe to the channel. We are trying to get to 4K. I think we're about 65 or so away. I would love to get there sooner than later. I think we're going to do a giveaway at 4K. In the past, we gave away a Jerry Rice signed helmet. We'll see what we do this time. I'm not going to promise it'll be that big, but it'll be something dope. I promise. So make sure that you are subscribed so that you have a chance to win whatever it is we end up giving away once we get to 4K. But we're close, super, super close. Appreciate each and every one of you for tapping in. Let me get to Wheels Up Podcast. What's up, man?
Hey, man, you know me. I'm a Lions fan, right?
Yeah, I got you. I remember you called in last week.
People don't understand. You said 5 minutes, man. I don't need 5 minutes. I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm not going to waste your time. Just like I'm a Matthew Stafford fan, only give me 2 minutes, man. 2 minute warning, man. That's all I need.
I feel it.
Man. Just like when he came back against Tampa, he doesn't need all the time in the world. He's the best clutch quarterback in the league. Comeback catch. But look. But seriously, all these people want their 5 minutes of fame. I don't need it. Here's what I want from you, man. To close out the show, you had a long night. I want you to tell me the fans of the 49ers you don't like the fan base that you don't like, the people that give you guys the bad name. And then 2, I want to know why you're a football fan intrinsically. I have a psych degree, and people always say, oh, my God, they want their team to win the Super Bowl, or they want this to happen or this to happen. But we all know Football brings us together with our family, with our friends. It is the great divider for a lot of different cultural issues. It is the melting pot. It goes across a lot of different political aisles for a lot of people. So when we look at the State of the Union and we look at like when our country needs to heal and all the stuff going on, I really want to know why you're a football fan from an intrinsic point of view. Was it like a meal you have with your family? Was it a Sunday gathering? Just tell me something important about football outside of winning a Super Bowl. Because let's be honest, we don't give a shit about laundry, you know. And when we're dead, we're not going to remember Jimmy, or I'm not going to tell you that my third cousin played cornerback for the Buffalo Bills, or my cousin wore a turtleneck and played in the 50s. I'm just a white guy who likes football for other reasons, but I want to know why you, the white guy, like football, and I'll close it up with that. I told you all you was 2 minutes. Bam, I'm out.
You got it. All right, man. All right. Here, I'm gonna actually take you off screen, but I'm gonna answer your question. I'm gonna switch the banner over here real quick. The first question, I got to be honest, I didn't fully. I understood what you said, but I don't understand like what you're asking from it. So I'm not gonna address that one, but I will address the football one. So what made me become a fan? I'm gonna get into that first. So first of all, my dad was born in California, 49er fan. It was a way for us to bond. So yes, that's how I became a 49er fan, and then ultimately a football fan. But for me, man, I don't know. Like I would say two things. One, um, super competitive. Like I am. I know a lot of people say they're competitive, so I'm not unique there, but I am competitive. Like I'm the guy that when we play pickup basketball at 24, I'm talking shit. Like I'm talking shit to you, and that's not to be mean to you. That's to get in my own game, right? Like that's the type of person I am, and that's just the way that I've always been. I've always been super competitive. It's been ingrained in me since a young age. So I love to watch competitors, and it's also why I like to watch certain players. And when I hear players say certain things that show that competitiveness, those are the players that I tend to root for. So that's one. And two, I'm a nerd for it, man. For me, I've told this story on here before, and people laughed at me or whatever, but I'll tell it again anyways. I'm weird like that. Like before you had every stat at the base of your fingertips, I was the guy that would spend my weekends, sixth, seventh grade, getting on the internet, reading articles, doing whatever I can, and literally writing pages upon pages of statistics from not only current quarterbacks, but quarterbacks from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and just comparing it all the way through to what I had at that point, and figuring out who the best players were. Like I geeked out on it. I dove in so deep, and that's what I did for fun. There wasn't YouTube and things like that when I was a kid. I would write papers. If I had to give a speech in front of the class, I was giving a speech about Steve Young, Jerry Rice, the 49ers, who the best quarterbacks of all time were, MMA. Like those are the things that I talked about. That was my outlet. And I just geeked out on it all the time. I lived it, I breathed it, and it's just been a passion of mine forever. So for me, like that's how I became a fan. That's why I've continued to be a fan. And I also like to debate. If somebody feels that they've got the answer on something and I disagree, I'm going to debate. I like to compete. I like to prove that I'm right. And I'm the type of person that whether there's one person or five people arguing with me, if I truly believe what I've said, and usually I'm not going to say something unless I really truly believe it. I'm going to fight you tooth and nail until I feel like somehow you've proven me wrong. But I'm always going to come in with an opinion, with major stats to back it up, with deeply rooted stats to back it up. And I'm going to know whatever it is about that topic. I promise you. So it's not going to be an easy win in any sort of debate. So for me, the competitiveness, just the love of knowing the game inside and out, being a part of a 49er fan base. And because of my dad, those are the reasons, man. And then just talking sports, this outlet here has been fantastic. Writing my thoughts down. I used to have a blog way back in the day, again, before YouTube was a thing, but blogs kind of had started. I used to write about why I thought Wilt Chamberlain was the best basketball player of all time and write, 500-700 word essays on it. Like I'm just weird like that. So that's me in a nutshell. That's the type of fan that you are getting. That's the type of sports knowledge that I bring. And I always like to come correct for sure. George Bailey coming in, appreciate you. To help with the giveaway, Jesse, great show as always. I appreciate you. I also owe Adrian, so I'm going to get both of you right now, Adrian, and I'll get you, George. Here is a little bit of love before we get out of here. All right, y'all. That's the show. Appreciate each and every one of you. You guys stayed in here strong. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. We're almost to 4K, road to 4K, and a giveaway. Appreciate y'all. Have a fantastic night. Peace.